LAPD is able to get in there as soon as possible before it's too late to start going door to door. It might already be too late because look at this fire as it's continuing to spread south. Just in the last, it's literally second by second, David. That spot fire near the left,
We're back,
near the left of
everybody.
the fire is already
And this
growing
has just
by the
gotten
minute.
even
Right
more
there.
insane.
That little candle
It
started
looks
as a
like
little spark
we are
and
in
is
Hollywood
already
Hills
ripping.
now.
It's going to merge with the main fire here.
This is
as this
absolutely
this whole fire
insane.
extends and parallels Curson Avenue.
Let's look at the overhead view and see what they're talking about. Now, I used to live in Hollywood, and I used to live right off of on Franklin Boulevard. So I know exactly where they're talking about right now, and this is just unbelievable.
Yeah, and I'm trying to look for any traffic. Sorry.
I was on Franklin, right across the street from the Scientology building, and in an apartment there. But it looks like the Hollywood Hills are on fire, and it's spreading. Like I said, we are a fifth
I'm
fire.
just looking for any sign of traffic. Anybody who's self-evacuating at this point, looking for any sign of that. Right now, you don't see a lot. It's actually somewhat of a quiet night over here for the most part. As I look up Hollywood Boulevard, traffic is pretty light. I would love to see more people coming down and out of that neighborhood, but right now we don't see a lot of car lights or headlights coming out of there just yet. Hard to see. It's very difficult
Check.
with the sun going down, but just trying to decipher any signs of movement that we can, because as you can tell, the smoke is already starting to obscure our view over this section of Hollywood. Earlier, we had a
If you're hearing a little
perfectly clear
crunchy sound, that's coming
nighttime
from
view of
the live
area
feed from
north of Hollywood
the
Boulevard.
source.
You can see those house lights very clearly. Now you can see a large plume of smoke enveloping a large portion of Hollywood. Again, this is all happening
That is
between, I
insane.
would say, Stanley Avenue and Runyon Canyon Road, or more precisely Fuller Avenue. Let's say between Stanley and Fuller, this whole section needs to be evacuated. And LA City Fire is pouring everything in this fire.
It's right
there. As much
there.
as they are trying to get into place, right now we
I
have
heard on one of the other
drop, maybe 2 or 3
casts that they
but
are
very limited firefighting going on yet. They are just now getting into
trying
position.
to
Just
do what they
now
can to preserve
getting
this
a handle on
Hollywood
this.
sign. Now, I believe the Hollywood sign was burned back a long time ago, back in the 20s. It was Hollywood Land, and I believe the land part was burnt in a fire back in the 20s or 30s. I don't remember exactly how they lost the land part of Hollywood Land, but that's how it just became Hollywood. And now we're looking at the whole damn sign being burned down, along with all the homes on Hollywood Hills. So everybody's in my prayers right now in Los Angeles and the surrounding areas. This is just unbelievable what we're seeing, what we're witnessing. And it doesn't seem to be getting any better. We're 2 days into this, and it's just crazy. We're not getting any.
Yeah, it's
There you go.
continuing. It's continuing to spread south, but also there's a little bit of a flare-up now on the west side of the fire. You can push in right there, Lucas, and you can see a new head to this fire almost. So you've got the southern head right there, over to the right.
Oh, yeah, you can see
Tilt
that
over to the right.
flaring
You
up
can see
right there, and
another
this
head to
big
this
fire right
as
there.
it creeps up this hillside here,
Up to the
which
right
is just
there.
blanketed with very thick fuel and lots of trees just ripe.
Oh,
burning.
man, this
Go ahead
is.
and widen out, and
I
you're
used to
getting
go
a better
hiking
idea
up
of just
through
how
there.
close this is now to Curson. Curson Avenue
Griffith
was the
Park
closest
isn't
street
too
when we
far
first
away.
arrived. Now Curson Avenue
And there's a lot
is
of
in the thick of
trees,
this.
and
What I'd like
you
to
got the
do,
observatory
Johnny, if
also,
possible, can we get over to the
not
west
too
side
far
to
away,
see
which is
how close
the
it's
Griffith
getting over to these houses?
Observatory.
I fear that there may already be houses
It
that
should
are
be
within
safe
feet
though,
of the
because it's up
flames here.
really high, and there's really no trees around it. This is crazy what we're witnessing. Let's check in on the other feed, see how we're looking over there. Looks like they're in a little commercial break there on Fox, but we'll wait for them and see how what their reporting has on the Hollywood Hills burning. Looks like we got a live shot from LAX. Looks like they're just going to back to their feed. Here we go. Should be coming back any moment.
Back in here to Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Christina Evans. We are continuing with our coverage there of these dramatic wildfires, unfortunately overtaking so many areas there in Southern California. I do want to show you a few vantage points that we have of what it looks like on the ground. And we do want to thank our partners once again there at Fox 11 in LA. They've been doing a fantastic job just covering all of these wildfires and bringing us the latest, those engaging interviews.
More directly towards Franklin and towards Hollywood Boulevard. So that's the main body of fire there. Let's go ahead and widen out again, Lucas, and show the proximity to Hollywood Boulevard from this angle. You're going to get a better idea of the geography here as that fire is being blown downhill through the Hollywood Hills towards Hillside Avenue, towards Gardner Street, where LAFD is responding, towards Vista Street, Sierra Bonita, and ultimately Hollywood Boulevard is now no more than 3/4 of a mile, half a mile away from the leading edge of this fire.
And look at the traffic down there on Hollywood Boulevard. Everybody is trying to get out of there. And you know, if you've been in Hollywood on the weekends, how it's just back to back to back. There's nowhere to go. You're just sitting there. And I can only imagine that that's the case right now. I mean, we're seeing a lot of the lights. So there looks like there's some movement on Hollywood Boulevard, but it looks like it's going pretty slow. This is absolutely insane. Let's head over to Fox real quick.
The fire that's a bit more to the east. It is currently holding steady at this point, as we were just hearing from those anchors there at Fox 11 at 10,600 acres. But as well, the newest fire right there in the center is the Sunset Fire. That is the one that is now raging there in the Hollywood Hills. If you're familiar at all with Southern California, maybe you've been on vacation to Los Angeles in particular, you've certainly heard of Runyon Canyon. That's a popular spot for hikers and tourists alike to go and visit, so you can see iconic views of the city. But that is right adjacent to this fire there that is currently burning in the Hollywood Hills.
Wow.
We do want to check back in right now with
and remember, we
our
got
friends there
4
at
other
Fox
fires,
11
major
in Los
fires
Angeles. Let's go ahead and continue
around other
on
parts
with
of
their
Los
coverage
Angeles.
on
And
the
this
ground.
isn't just the Hollywood Hills that we're talking about. So let's see where else we got going on.
Direction. Now I want you to, you can't really see because it's so dark, but farther up Topanga Canyon, the fire has led to a lot of landslides. And so there are quite a few spots on Topanga Canyon where it's very difficult to pass. Now, adding to that, this extra danger where some of the power poles are smoldering right now. So if they're not down right now, they will be down shortly.
Soon.
I want to bring in Claudia Udy. She lives nearby. She was evacuated, but you called the assignment desk because you're worried about the fact that this fire is raging and you're not seeing any support. You're not seeing any aid.
Yes, I'm representing so many Topangans who galvanized together. We've been in touch with each other all day. There are a few people who've been here, who've stayed behind, who've shown us footage. And so we've seen it's just as quiet as can be.
I'm going to step away real
as you
quick
can
and
see.
grab something to drink. I'll be right
There's
back.
the fire, and there is no airdrop. There's nothing being done.
So do you see any firefighters up there at all on the ground?
No, there are no firefighters on the ground whatsoever. We've been abandoned. 15,000 residents. All these beautiful houses. People have lived here so many, many years, and we've been abandoned.
Has the fire damaged or destroyed any homes to your knowledge?
Absolutely. I have friends who live up Tunasso on the other side. So there's this ridge, and then there's the other ridge. Sadly, people who've lived here for decades, their homes have been completely burnt down.
Yeah, exactly.
No help.
No help. So, Claudia, what do you want to do? I mean, at this point, I think the resources are stretched very thin.
What I'm wanting to do is inspire us as Southern Californians. We know that every winter there are big winds. This is just part of living here. So can we not create a team that comes here this time of year to be on the ground, to be in the air. Apparently we have rented some helicopters from Canada. I mean, I'm sure they're being used somewhere. I know that this is an unusual, I've been here a long, long time. This is an unusual situation, but even under the better circumstances could be, there's still not the help, there's not the strategy, and there's so many people who'd want to help. Let's just create a really good plan.
Claudia, thank you. I appreciate your perspective, and I just want to point out that we just watched that car blow by us, and it's just so nerve-wracking to me because we had driven up from PCH, so going northbound on Topanga Canyon. There were multiple spots where you could not travel past in the lane without veering into the other lane. So again, the situation here, dynamic. What is dangerous is not just the fact that the fire is getting so close to Topanga and Topanga Village, but also the fact that this major thoroughfare is not going to be passable anytime soon.
All right, that was our Susan Hirasuna reporting from Topanga Canyon and the devastation there, all thanks to the Palisades fire. We're up and over Skyfox now. This is the Sunset Fire that's erupted in the Hollywood Hills. This is the newest fire to erupt. There are several flanks to this one, and obviously the winds, the #1 driver of those flames, are a huge problem, as now we're zooming in down below and you see a bunch of emergency crews out there. Mandatory evacuation orders are in place, and this is what makes fighting these fires so difficult in the Hollywood Hills. These roads, Alex, are so tight, and they're so narrow. It's hard just to even get by, depending on what road you are in the Hollywood Hills, just a regular size vehicle. So this is so important to keep these roads open for emergency personnel.
And these are roads that preventatively, when there's bad fire weather, they often will shut them down from parking because they want to keep the roads open for emergency crews, and it is difficult to navigate those roads. I mean, that is the, I always, you know, it's such beautiful, picturesque, important, expensive, great homes there. But when you drive up there, I always think, would I want to live here? But then what happens if there's a fire? Because for a lot of these homes, it's kind of one way in and one way out. And this is that sort of scary nightmare scenario that you worry about if you're in the Hollywood Hills. Not that I could afford the homes, that's a whole other discussion. But now as we look at our city, and you can only imagine what it must be like flying into LAX tonight, because if you're approaching from the air, you see fire in all different directions in Southern California tonight, and now the Hollywood area is impacted. Let's talk about the fire.
These mushrooms make you feel better, like a lot better.
Than last night. It's a very different firefight.
Have any of you tried those mushrooms before?
But
Do they make you really feel better?
Like that.
Let me know in the comments.
Very dry air, still gusty winds, just not quite as extreme. But let's back it out, and I promise we're going to get to a wind forecast in a moment here. I'm going to spend several minutes on what's happening with the weather. We've done a lot of like micro scale stuff. This spot, this spot, this spot. Let me show you more of a macro view of what's just broadly going on across our area, because I know if you're watching, it can get a little overwhelming just with everything we have happening. So we have several fires. We're obviously monitoring. What you're looking at right here is a map. You see a lot of this is generally north of Los Angeles. And then not only do we have the fires marked here, but also you notice the evacuation zone. So if, we can have the control room kind of go place by place. Let's come into the Palisades fire now. So you're going to notice a couple of things. First of all, the acreage. It's more than 15,000 acres. You see the orange color around the Palisades fire. That's basically the fire footprint. And what is incredible when we look at this here on the left side of the screen, notice that grayish white color right there. That is the burn scar from the Franklin fire around Malibu last month. We know that was a big fire. That was, I believe, about 4,000 acres. And you see how the Palisades fire, just in terms of the land that it covers, is multiple times the size of the Franklin fire in that burn scar area there on the left. And the fire went up to the burn scar. So that's pretty incredible. On the right side or east side of the Palisades fire, you can see how it's just barely encroaching on kind of the border of the Brentwood area. And then as we come in, I want to come in closer to Santa Monica if we can, because you'll see the borders now of the evacuation zone. So we've got the reddish, kind of pinkish color. That is the evacuation order. That's mandatory. And that changed this afternoon. It got extended into more of Santa Monica. So now kind of southeast or down the coast of San Vicente, including up to, if we come in a little bit closer, I believe, to Montana, and then from Montana, from the coast up to 11th Street. So that's an area that was new today that has a mandatory evacuation order. Then you see the yellow spots. Those are evacuation warnings, and I'll remind you that means that it's not mandatory.
Wow.
But in terms of the ready, set, go, go would be the order, the red. Set, meaning kind of get ready to go if needed, would be in yellow. So you have the option to evacuate.
So how long would it take for you to go? Let me know in the comments. I'd be out of there. Oh man, I'd be out of there so fast.
And so that includes more parts of Santa Monica as well. All right, let's back it out now. Let's go look a little farther east up to the Eaton fire. Let's do that. We're going to skip over the Sunset fire in a moment. So here's the Eaton fire, which is
we got the
now
Eaton
more than
fire, which was the
10,000
second
acres.
fire
Again,
that started.
This is a massive area right here. You see the large burn scar, and then you see the large area with the evacuation order and the evacuation warning. The warning goes all the way down to the 210. You see it includes parts of Pasadena. From the right side of the screen to the left side of the screen right here, huge area being affected by this one. And we know everything that's going on there. Our reporters have done an amazing job talking about it. Now let's back this out farther. We're going to kind of go in order of when the fire started. So if we can go up to the Hearst fire, so that's up around Sylmar. This one's smaller in size, still impactful. I believe around 700 acres was the estimated coverage of this one. And again, the red spots are mandatory evacuations. The yellows would be evacuation warnings. Then if we go to the right of that, or to the east of that, you see this. Now this is the Lydia fire. So it's kind of it started just west of Ravenna. You see right there. Large area here, kind of wilderness area. Still some homes and businesses being impacted. I believe this one was around shortly a little more than 300 acres in size. And I know in the press conference we had a little earlier this evening that the officials were saying on this particular one, on the Lydia fire, that forward progress was stopped. And I believe that's the only, of all the fires, the only one where there's really been some good progress in containing it somewhat.
All
and then
right,
the newest one that we're aware of is the Sunset fire. That's the one
we
in
got
the
the
Hollywood
Sunset
Hills,
fire,
that's right in the center of
which
your
is the
screen
newest
right there.
one.
And this one smaller, but you know we're gonna, as we get updates on this,
Smaller,
we know that
but it's going to be very impactful because it's surrounded by so much.
And again, I'll reiterate,
if you've ever been to Hollywood, you know that it's nothing but homes and businesses everywhere, just clustered together everywhere. So once it gets past this the hill part and starts heading down the hill, which it's actually at the bottom of the hill, to be honest, if it's over there off a block away from Franklin. So it looks like it's starting to get surrounded. Hollywood does.
But our weather graphics here are going to show that the red flag warning continues into Friday. You'll remember that this red flag warning was
let's see if
red flag warning.
what's going on the other one. So we're looking at let's see, let's get caught up to where they're at. I guess they're done with their feed, huh? And so yeah, we're looking at the fires at Hollywood Hills. So yeah, that's horrible. Let's find another feed.
Nothing beats living in the moment, but sometimes the unexpected happens, and everything that can go wrong does. But on the plus side...
All right, there we go. Sorry about that. I don't pay for the...
using as much water as they could find and pressure to put water in their homes to save their homes. You don't see any of that here. I don't think anybody is risking it because there's very little room for... there's very little...
spit it out, guy.
Measure of success here, I should say, when it comes to your ability to hold off a fire once it's coming up the canyon walls in into this neighborhood. I think it was in 1982 the last time that Laurel Canyon burned. They lost about.
Look at that! It's surrounding, and you can see all the little lights. Those aren't lights; those are little fires that are starting all around there.
In the same spots. They happen, and then everything grows back, and then they happen again. Runyon Canyon has burned before. So has this neighborhood. It's been decades, and they've tried to do everything they possibly can to secure this region from a rapidly moving calamity that would be a fire like this. But again, there's nothing you can. There's really, all bets are off when you have the kind of velocity that we saw last night and this morning, with the wind gusts propelling the embers, advancing the flames in Eaton Canyon and the Palisades upwards to a mile downrange. So we haven't talked to anybody. I haven't seen anybody. Most have evacuated, I would think.
I would hope.
And those who aren't evacuated are watching us and praying and hoping for the best.
All right, Conan, we have some important information we need to pass along to our viewers as we hold your shot here. We want to clarify that the boil water advisory we talked about earlier, that advisory is actually for anyone who lives in the Pacific Palisades area.
Okay, so that really doesn't apply to us. So it looks like Hollywood is completely on fire. It is amazing to see this. Unbelievable. Like I said earlier, I lived in Hollywood for a little while when I was younger, for about a year, right off of Franklin Boulevard, right across the street from the Scientology building. And this is just unbelievable to see because I know how crowded it is there. I was last there probably about 10 years ago. And yeah, the streets are really narrow. The houses are really close together. There's really no parking, so a lot of people park on the streets. And then once you get to the bottom of the hill, it's just nothing but businesses everywhere. And they haven't really talked about it yet, but you got the Griffith Observatory right down the street and Griffith Park, which is right down the street. Let's just hope none of that gets damaged as well. This is just getting really crazy.
And if you're leaving beyond evacuation orders and they tell you to get out and you don't go, then you're just causing a problem for firefighters at that point. So they really want you to adhere to those precautions. I love that they train with the residents there.
And one big concern among residents, I know in the Runyon Canyon area, Kathy, is that they all always have concerns with how many visitors visit these parks that are in the canyon, especially Runyon Canyon Park. A lot of people park their cars, and they're concerned for this reason, because if there is a fire that breaks out, do the firefighters have enough space to drive their giant apparatus, those fire trucks, the fire engines, up into the canyon successfully to get to where these fires are going? They have red flag days on days like yesterday, days like today, where they don't allow parking for this very reason. So
that's
that
really good.
The firefighters can get up into the canyon areas, these narrow streets, many of them one way in, one way out. And so
I just don't know where you would start. It's like, where do you begin?
They're not, parking their cars in certain places. We saw a lot.
They don't have enough resources to deal with the other fires. The very first fire that started, again, as a recap, at this time last night, there was one fire that was in Malibu and Santa Monica area. We're now up to 5 of them, and it's moved into Hollywood. So we are into the suburbs of Los Angeles. Let's hear what they have to say.
Views Rushing Canyon. This is Runyon and Mulholland. Yeah. This is Debbie. Debbie, it's good to see you.
You too.
Tell me from your perspective, when you first got aware of this fire, was it an emergency alert? Did you smell the smoke? Did you see the flames?
We got so many emergency alerts, which has kind of made us really paranoid because we're right at Mulholland, near Laurel, and it's you got to evacuate. And we're I don't know. So that's why I came up here to see, because we got scared. We didn't know. We didn't smell anything.
Right.
But everyone kept saying evacuate, evacuate, so.
But you're here.
I'm here, yeah, because I covered stuff on my page.
So you're looking here.
So she's a content creator.
I'm live on my, yeah.
Are you ready to go if need be, Debbie?
Oh, yeah. I've already packed a bag, and I have my cat and my son. We've already packed.
Okay.
So I said, I'm just going to see if I can see the fire, because if it's close enough, then we probably
See,
could get
I
at it,
talked about this earlier. If how many of you out there have a bug out bag ready to go, packed with the necessities that you need when it's time to go, and you don't have time to look for things, the necessities, you should already have a bag packed ready to go. I have a bag packed ready to go for both my wife and myself. So at a moment's notice, we have what we need, not anything more or anything less. It's imperative that we stay prepared as a country, and anything could happen. Any kind of disaster like this could happen in any part of the country. I'm in the Ohio area, and we're dealing with a lot of snow right now. A much different situation than what's going on in Los Angeles, but again, we're prepared here in the Northeast all the time to have blankets and any kind of water and food and stuff like that prepared in our car, just in case we're stuck in our cars in snowstorms, or getting a wreck from ice or hydroplaning, or any number of variables that weather plays upon us in our environment. We need to be prepared for, and it just seems like times like this that a lot of people aren't prepared. They want to save things that aren't important. Everything is important, obviously. All your property and everything is important, all your memories and photos and all that stuff. But first things first is your own personal safety and your family's personal safety. Once you get that taken care of, you can worry about the other stuff.
From a number of people in the west part of the West Hollywood Hills that Bird Streets and that areas near Sunset Plaza and areas near Doheny up in the hills have already been asked to evacuate. And in the meantime, this area that just right over here, which was known as Outpost and Outpost Estates, that's the area that you are going to see before you get to the Hollywood Bowl. Those people have been asked to evacuate as well.
So the Hollywood Bowl is not far from Griffith Park either, so remember that.
What could you do with an extra $658 a year? Let me show you how to save that
much
I don't pay
on
your home insurance.
For YouTube, so
it's
I
a
get
beautiful
commercials.
place to live. There are beautiful views, and there certainly is convenient. You feel like the San Fernando Valley's right here, and Hollywood is right on the other side of Mulholland. However, you understand the trade-off being that you live in an area where that as soon as the wind picks up and you have these conditions, that you could be next. And it was here in the Hollywood Hills as they cast their eyes westward and looked at the disaster, the absolute disaster that has become the Pacific Palisades.
Looks like we have some breaking news. Biden has canceled his trip to Italy amid the California wildfires. So that's one of the first things that he's done in his entire presidency that he's taken seriously. I was surprised he's not going on vacation. He was just here, actually, in California, I think today, for the birth of his great-grandson, I believe. And so he got a glimpse of what was going on. He didn't make any stops to make any remarks, though.
They can be really, really tricky, and sometimes there's only one way in and no way out. And the most important thing you want to do is make sure that you get those fire trucks and the fire apparatus in. So they've got this fire right now, maybe the first time in a long time that we can say they've got it surrounded, because it's really burning right now in a bowl section, that being the Runyon Canyon section. But to stop it now from spreading, if it heads east, it's going to go to the Outpost Estates area and then push towards Highland and the Hollywood Bowl. If it goes west, then you know what? Honestly, we could be off to the races, because that is where you have nothing but homes on both sides of Mulholland. And that is a very, very dangerous place for this fire to spread. The Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy, there is a large swath of open space that is fuel to burn, and that could really help push that fire. So the goal right now, keep this aerial assault underway, and so far it's been effective.
It is great to see that aerial assault. So fantastic to see the water drops. Okay, Robert, we have the Sunset Fire covered from all directions. Amber Frias is at the base of Runyon Canyon, the hiking trail there. Amber, what are you seeing down there? We see fire trucks with you.
A lot of fire trucks out here. It looks like it's kind of like the place that they're using, the route that these firemen are using to get closer to the fire. They have since blocked the entrance to Runyon Canyon because there's a lot of people, a lot of young people actually gathering in this area, trying to take video, trying to take pictures of the situation. Now, along with these people, we've also met a lot of residents who live in the apartments in this area. As you may know, this is a very densely populated area. There are dozens of apartment complexes, thousands of people that live in these neighborhoods and are now being evacuated. Let's see if we could talk to some of these people here. Hi guys, how are you doing? My name is Amber. I'm a reporter with NBC4. What's your name, sir?
Rich.
Now being evacuated. Do you live in this complex? Where are you headed tonight? How are you doing?
Hopefully nowhere. But if I have to leave, and my neighbors, we each have our cars, we can take off in no time or walk.
So you're packed up and ready to go?
Yeah.
Walk.
Okay. How
Where are
long
you
do you
gonna walk
intend
to?
Wait it out?
I'm hoping I'm going to sleep in my bed tonight.
Oh, man.
Hopefully. How long have you lived here, sir?
25 plus years.
Anything like this ever cross your mind?
No.
Nothing remotely. So this is unique for here and I think for Los Angeles.
How are you feeling? What's going through your mind right now?
Waiting to see what happens. It seems conditions are better now than they were an hour or two ago.
Yeah, it seems like the winds are slowing down a little bit. Still a lot of ash, a lot of smoke. How many people have also decided to stay in your complex?
There are 29 apartments, and I believe we're the last two apartments.
Okay.
Everyone else has left.
All right, sir. Well,
may I ask, have you heard anything on the fire?
I'm sure she's heard a lot about the fire.
Growing.
And evacuations are still underway.
All right.
Thank you so much, sir, and stay safe. Good luck.
Oh, it's sad sometimes to hear some of these uninformed elderly people who just aren't aware of the situation. They don't have the same capability. Well, they have obviously they have the capabilities, but apparently they just don't use the same means that we use, the same platforms. A lot of them use legacy media, and it's hard to get any information when they're all over the place.
This community here, you are urged to abide by those orders.
I feel bad for him. If I were him, I'd be getting out of there, getting what I need, just getting out of there. His hope of sleeping in his bed tonight, that's a pretty big hope. I hope he does. I hope he does, but we'll see.
Working in our favor. First of all, we have an aerial firefight. We didn't have that last night for any of the fires because of the wind. It's also an aerial firefight at night, and
at least the wind is dying down,
just the past couple of years. That's a benefit. But the other benefit has been the wind. It is a lot lighter out there. We still have a couple of gusts, but it is definitely a lot lighter than we were talking about last night. We had that gust in that 40 to 80 mile per hour range, depending on location. So right now, here's where the Sunset Fire is. So a little bit of a refresher on the map here. We've got the 101 freeway. Hollywood Boulevard is right here. This is Santa Monica down here. This is Laurel Canyon, and Mulholland Drive is this squiggly line right there. Franklin Canyon Park, one of the observation sites that sits off toward the west, that's had the strongest gusts, but even then, the gusts have been mainly in about the 20 to 30 mile per hour range with sustained winds at about 10 miles an hour. Around West Hollywood, we've been looking at wind gusts in about the 10 to 20 mile per hour range. The main thing, though, that's still very concerning here about the conditions is the humidity. 9% humidity around Franklin Canyon, 10% humidity for WeHo, about 15% humidity at one of our observation sites that is just to the east of Hollywood. So we're keeping track of this fire, keeping an eye on it. But right now, the good news is that the wind gusts are definitely much lighter than when we were seeing it.
That looks really close
yesterday.
to Universal City,
Another spot
where a lot
the
of
wind
the
gusts
studios
are still
are
relatively light, but gusty in a few areas is around the Palisades fire. So first of all, here's the entire fire area. It's this big shaded red spot. Around Topanga Beach, we've got gusts at 22 miles an hour. In the Santa Monica area, though, we're not necessarily seeing any wind gusts. The winds are relatively light at this point, but 10% humidity.
Doesn't that look insane? People just he's still trying to do the weather, but he's got this whole area covered with fire. Usually we'd see like rain or snow or
look at the wind directions, kind of
wind or but it's fire.
For firefighters tonight around the Palisades fire. As we take a look for the Eden fire, you'll notice a really good sign here. Calm winds for La Cañada Flint Ridge, calm winds in Altadena, relatively calm winds around Eden Canyon Park, same with Sierra Madre. That's a huge benefit for
sort of
firefighters.
Subscribe and like if you haven't already subscribed and liked. It will really help us push our content out to other viewers so that we can
as we go through the next couple of hours, the
of
smoke from the fires will likely linger in the area. This is what it looks like by 9 p.m.
Of like-minded individuals who like to share information. So be sure to like and subscribe.
And of course, with the Sunset Fire mixed into this, we're likely seeing some of that fire sitting in the basin as well. Depending on the fire activity for tomorrow, we'll likely see some of the smoke continue to just sit in the region. But notice how all of this is blowing offshore. We will still have offshore winds all the way through a good portion of Thursday and into Friday. Futurecast here, this is a zoomed in look around Ventura County and LA County around the San Fernando Valley. 10 p.m. tonight, we're looking at winds still offshore, not nearly as gusty as last night. That's the huge benefit that we're seeing. But as we go through the overnight hours and into Thursday, we still have an offshore wind for some areas. So the Santa Susana Mountains still seeing some gusts that will continue for a good portion of Thursday into early Friday. This is Friday morning. We're back up into the gust territory in that 40-mile-per-hour range in the Santa Susana Mountains. The Santa Monica Mountains areas around the fire looking at wind gusts 20 to 30 miles an hour with occasional stronger gusts. But the good news comes late Friday. Look what happens with the wind directions. Everything suddenly is pointing out of the west. That's the onshore breeze. That is the recovery in humidity that we're looking for. And that would signal probably the decrease of fire danger finally as we get into the weekend. But it does look like offshore flow is with us at least for the next couple of hours, next few days, and potentially into next week as well. Back to you.
And we'll be waiting for that moment. David, thank you so much. Right now, we want to go back to our Conan Nolan live there covering the Sunset Fire from up above. Conan, this is quite the sight that we're getting here. Your photographer zoomed in, and we just see those flames whipping around. Have you seen any more water drops?
All right, we're trying to reach Conan right now.
Hey, Conan, come on.
Conan, can you hear us?
There we go, Conan.
I got you now. I'm sorry. Yeah, I lost interrupted feedback just a moment
That's
ago.
That's an iconic view right up there. A lot of people go up. We've seen this view in a lot of movies.
Although they seem to be getting some, there is some success in some of the aerial drops. It is still burning heavy into heavy vegetation. The manzanita, the California scrub brush, as well as a variety of other very dry vegetation that's essentially the fuel here. If you saw the twin rotor helicopters, that's the QRFs. That's the quick response or reaction force. This is a helicopter. I believe it's a helicopter based out of LA County's Van Nuys Airport, as well as in Orange County and Ventura. Chinook 47s, I believe they are, about 3,000 gallons. And so they can be very effective. They're also a lot more stable than some of the single rotor helicopters, and they can take the wind a little better. There you see one right there. Now, I believe that's an Augusta helicopter from LA City Fire. Single rotor.
It's not a drone.
They have been working this back and forth for the past hour, in making some progress. The flames, though, are making their way downhill. There's no question about that. They can retard their growth, but they can't exactly snuff it out completely. And I think one of the strategies here is to keep this fire at a point where if it does make its way towards the homes down below the canyon, they won't be so intense that the structure protection units down below can't arrest them and put them out before they do any kind of property damage, so long as the weather cooperates. That is, the wind gusts do not reappear the way they did with such ferocity earlier last night and earlier this morning. There's another drop. You know, we can tell this helicopter, I think this is another LA City helicopter. They're going back and forth probably to Mulholland, Lake Mulholland. Yeah, not far from the Hollywood sign to gather more water. And we're seeing quite a bit of a rapid turnaround here. So this is, as David Bigger pointed out, this is the big difference between last night and tonight. Not just the fact that we don't have the wind, but we do have the air attack from these helicopters that have been pre-positioned.
Well, it sounds like Hollywood is somewhat prepared
folks in the
and ready
above
for
me,
this, which is that's
looking
a
warily
blessing.
at this. They want to keep it on the other side of Runyon Canyon from where they are. The neighborhoods down below, they see it slowly making their way down. That's the advantage to being down canyon from these fires, because they move so slowly. The big disadvantage to being up from those canyons where I am is if they do make it to this flank, to this side of the canyon wall, they go up so fast that there's very little opportunity for them to protect the homes up here. That's not the concern at the moment. We had a strike team, actually 2 strike teams up here. They have since left. I think they were redeployed down below, because that is where the focus of the attention is, as it slowly, this flank of the fire that I'm looking at, the north flank, I can't see the south from here, north flank, as it slowly makes its way down towards some of the homes just south of the Hollywood Hills here. And you know, it's an awful thing to see, but the fact is you can see it. And that's important, because it's when there's so much wind that the plume of smoke is horizontal.
I guess that makes a lot of sense. If there's so much smoke and you don't know where to go,
this is moving slowly, and that is that's the difference.
I guess that's the beauty of it becoming nighttime.
Back to you.
And
I'll tell you
cooling
what, Conan,
off.
those big water drops look fantastic. And watching this fire in the Hollywood Hills, the Sunset Fire, just before 6 o'clock, it looked like it was exploding. And it really was. It was very alarming. It looks so much better now. So thank you. We're going to keep covering this for you.
It's amazing.
We want to get to our Alex Rozier. He's down the hill from the fire.
It looks
Alex,
better
give us your
now,
location
but
and
it's just sad that it's on fire, period.
At Hollywood and La Brea, I want to give you folks a sense of what it looks like right now. So many people know this area. I want to give you a live look down Hollywood. If you're looking that way, you're looking in the direction of the Dolby Theater, and you can see across the street there are folks who are out here looking around, but this is the roadblock that LAPD has set up at La Brea and Hollywood. And if we keep turning you up the road to where the Hollywood Bowl would be in that direction here, folks, you can see to the northwest the flame that is there right now. We've been monitoring it, and I will tell you that the big distinction that we're feeling right now compared to where we were last night, though these aren't ideal conditions by any means, the winds are significantly less. But among the people here tonight who are evacuated, Tony, talk to me about your situation and what you've experienced thus far.
I was up there, and I was thinking in the morning, all these houses half made of concrete, half made of wood. All the houses are not prepared for fire. So I think people need to start rethinking about that. I just, here in Hollywood Hills, I live in Hollywood Hills, and the fire was up there, and then when I see it, I was on Beverly Center, Beverly Hills. I see the fire, like, what is that? Is Santa Monica? No, is that? Yeah, it's going to Hollywood. Damn! And then I call everyone, hey, everything is okay? Yeah, we already evacuated everything. So now it doesn't make sense to go up there, because I already have everything. Documents and everything that I need there. So, but I think that people need to prepare for it, and right now, like, follow the rules. Right now is a good time to don't rush.
And I want to give you a live look around here as, Tommy, if you can just kind of show the crowd here that's out here tonight, because on any given night in Hollywood, there's
packed.
going to be a lot of people out and about. effect, but then you add in an evacuation order, and that only adds to it. You've got the road closures that are in place. Tell me about what you've seen as far as the flames from this intersection where you've been standing. Has it grown in size? Has it dropped?
I seen that it first starts small, then grows, and then it go small again right now. So right now it go smaller. So I guess it's gonna go up and down, up and down. It's gonna be a fight. It's gonna be a fight to turn the fire off.
Well, Tony, thank you so much for your time here tonight as you look live there at the firefight that is ongoing in the Hollywood Hills. Again, the wind not as intense as we felt last night. I was in the Pacific Palisades. I was in Altadena earlier when businesses were going up in flames. Now this is ongoing here tonight. These road closures are in place, and along with many people, we'll be keeping an eye on this one here from Hollywood. Jonathan and Kathy, we'll send it back to you.
Well, Alex, we see the fire on the right, the evacuations on the left. Has it
Look
been
at the
mostly
evacuation
orderly?
line back there.
Are things
That's
going
insane.
well there, people patient, getting through slowly, but making it through?
Yeah, I think people are cautiously optimistic at this point right now. I've seen a few folks who have packed some bags and prepared to take off for the evacuation. Your family had to evacuate?
My whole family had to evacuate earlier. We were watching IP2 Network, and then we saw the fire, and they could have possibly just lost everything. But I live down here, so I'm good.
You live down here,
yeah,
so
but they're like right next to Runyon Canyon, so.
How do you feel right now watching this? It seems as though the airdrops have helped and assisted in this firefight.
I'm very upset by it, but I'm just glad that I was able to get an alert on IP2 because, you know, I wouldn't have known otherwise.
Well, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. Yeah, so we are going to keep an eye on this. Kathy and Jonathan, we'll send it back into you.
All right, Alex Rozier there covering now his third fire in a matter of 2 days for us there at the base of the hills where this Sunset Fire.
If anybody knows what IP2 is, let me know in the chats. I really don't know what that is. But I wonder if he's one of the homeless kids that live out there who choose to be homeless. There's quite a few of them in the Hollywood area. If you've ever been out there, you'll have seen a lot of the homeless young people.
Difference, that water dropping has made, and we just brought up talking with David Bigger a minute ago. If this had been yesterday when we had the winds, it would be a different story. But no, at least tonight, a calmer situation. But still, people heeding the evacuation warnings, packing up.
That's good that they're heeding the warnings. That's really
right
important to do that.
We've seen so many of these fires.
It's important that people take these warnings seriously and get out. Just like the older gentleman earlier when he was being interviewed, he was hoping to be in his bed tonight. I'm hoping he's in his bed tonight, and it looks like they might have a handle on the Hollywood Hills, but people are still evacuating. It's best to evacuate and then come back when it's clear. Don't put yourself in danger just because you want to be comfortable.
Moving out of the area, that is a great sight tonight to see. And we want people to know you have to heed those evacuation orders to make room for firefighters, especially in those narrow streets.
Well, the time right now, we're glad you're with us. It's 8 o'clock. We have been on the air now for 33 hours nonstop, bringing you the very latest on several fires that are burning.
33 hours nonstop. I don't think I'll be coming at you for 33 hours nonstop unless you guys are subscribing left and right, and I'm getting viewers all over the place, and I will. If you want me to stay on for 24 hours, I'll stay on for 24 hours straight. I really don't care. I can do it, you know. I'll do 48. Why don't we make that a YouTube goal? You guys get me 10,000 subscribers, and I'll stay up for 48 hours broadcasting the fires. How about that?
Boulevard, and the evacuation warning extends west of Laurel Canyon Boulevard all the way to Franklin Canyon. We want to let those people know that they are under an evacuation warning at this point.
So here's what we know so far about the Sunset Fire. Flames have burned at least 19 acres.
19 acres.
Chopper flows overhead. You can see that huge.
So it's burned 19 acres, 15,832 acres in Palisades, Palisades, and evacuation orders extended for Santa Monica areas north of Oh, okay.
Fire crews right now. Meanwhile,
Got to read it a little bit quicker there.
And we're still keeping a very close eye on that. That one is.
So the Eden Fire, no containment. At least 5 people have died from that one. We reported on that earlier when it was just earlier was 2. Now it's 5. We have over 1,000 plus structures have been destroyed.
11th and PCH. The evacuation order for parts
10,600 acres
are still in place. Right now, more than 15,000 people do not have gas in the Malibu area. And there's also a boil water advisory for the Sunset Mesa community for the specific zip code 90272. We're also keeping a close watch on the Eaton Fire. This one has burned 10,600 acres and continuing to grow tonight, and sadly we can report at least 5 people have been killed there in the Eaton Fire burning in Altadena. More than 1,000 buildings,
for those
most
families
homes
tonight.
and businesses there have been destroyed. City leaders are also asking people to leave the fire area. Many people have stayed behind to try to put out the flames in their homes, but we want to let you know that they're asking people to get out immediately so that firefighters continue to do the work that they need to do, because there are still active fires burning there. There are evacuation centers open right now at the Pasadena Convention Center and the Arcadia Community Center. We have live team coverage tonight on every one of these fires.
All right, we just want to update that Cozy is not on Channel 6. We'll get that information out to you. We're going to start with Robert Kovacic. He is live in the Hollywood Hills with the very latest on the Sunset Fire.
Let's get the latest. Here we go.
Well, what we're looking at right now, Kathy and Jonathan, is that this is an aerial assault to a fire here in the Hollywood Hills. What you don't want to happen here in the Hollywood Hills is for this fire to spread for a number of reasons. First of all, it is so densely populated. Second of all, this is an area that has not burned a major significant fire since the Bel Air fire back in the 60s. So when you take a look at what the firefighters have to work with right now, it is limited resources, as they have admitted throughout the day, since we are dealing with a number of different fires. But they know that they have to hit this one. They have to hit it hard. They have to hit it fast. And fortunately, the winds are cooperating enough to be able to get an aerial attack on.
Oh, no.
We are one of the largest and most trusted heating and air
I guess this is a good time to say like and subscribe.
For the month of January.
We have talked about even into the morning hours. I believe, Kathy, you and I were having this conversation at 3 a.m. about the problem with the Palisades fire is that you didn't know where the Palisades fire was going to go next. Normally with the fire, it sort of moves. It chews through, or it plows through a certain area. It chars scorched earth. And then once it finishes, it goes on to a different place. And then you sort of know the direction it's going. Well, with the Palisades fire, you didn't really have an idea last night, even really through today, which is why there's no containment as to where that fire could be heading next, because the winds were so erratic. Here tonight, because this fire broke out, a small fire near Runyon Canyon, Wattles Park, I am told, which is just adjacent to Runyon Canyon, and if you know the area, you can access it just off Hollywood Boulevard. But that fire broke out and it spread into the bowl area of Runyon Canyon, and that, even though there's a lot to burn there, it's difficult terrain to access, but you can then sort of try and surround it, and that is what they have done. They do not want the fire to spread west. They have evacuation orders, we understand, from outpost to outpost estates, east to where I am standing, and then west all the way into the Bird Streets, off of Sunset Plaza Drive, off of Doheny Drive, and elsewhere. So we don't want to see this fire move towards Nichols Canyon, towards Laurel Canyon, towards Coldwater Canyon, towards Benedict Canyon, and beyond. And that is really what they're trying to do. They're also trying to keep the fire from jumping the hill, because you have the Studio City hills right here, and you have the Bryman Canyon area right here, another area that they want to avoid. Bottom line is, we have a number, thousands upon thousands of homes in this area, all surrounded by brush, though they do a very good job of trying to clear the brush in most instances.
It's a very dense area, very populated, dense area, many homes, many businesses. So this is super important that they are taking care of the Hollywood Hills and trying to get this Sunset Fire under control. They need to have it under control. because if it gets past and it goes, like he said, to the west, they're looking at a serious problem. It's already a serious problem, but it will be so out of hand that there won't be much they can do about it. Looks like that was a little bit of a fire explosion up there.
People have been following the evacuation orders. They know what's at stake when you live here. We have seen a number of people evacuate. My neighbors have told me to evacuate. And I do want to say, we've got such great viewers because I've been offered so many places to stay. Really touches me. Thank you.
Yeah, this is personal for so many people in Southern California. And Robert,
That's
this is
good
personal
for
you.
them. I'm glad that
how are
they're
your
looking out for
neighbors
you,
doing?
buddy.
Have you been able to speak with them? Have they been able to get out safely?
Well, they have, and you know, this is one of those things where even when we watched last night and we watch a home.
Let's take a break and go over to the other feed and see what's happening there. Let's see, what do we got?
That we are not losing anybody, that people are not getting hurt. That is the absolute primary goal here. That is what everyone here is talking about. That is why these evacuation orders are so incredibly important. That is why following the advice of fire and police personnel out in the field is so important. And I hope that people take those orders seriously.
We've been telling clients it's nearly impossible to
There
sell
we
a
go
home in
again.
winter.
A little skippy,
Not true.
skippy. Here we go. A little commercial.
Having access to strong discounts doesn't make you a strong person, does it?
Not really.
Of course, but really our primary focus is on saving lives and making sure that people can exit these impacted areas as safely as possible.
Yeah, and of course, I'll reiterate that. Number one is to save lives and then to save those homes in the Hollywood Hills and all the iconic landmarks around it. Councilmember Rahman, when we first got wind of this and we saw those first flames, we had a vantage point of the Hollywood sign itself, and the flames were right there in front. And of course, we worry about that. More importantly, the people and the homes. But to your point, you were saying that the flames, they're going downward, so they're burning away from the Hollywood sign. We know that it's still standing and okay at this hour.
At this hour, we're not seeing the Hollywood sign as a threat. If that changes, I can communicate that to you. I am not, I think Chief Crowley is the person who can speak to fire movement and to wind changes. Those wind changes are really what's going to be impacting the movement of the fire. And so I don't even want to speak to that. What I can speak to, again, as I said, is the intensity with which we're attacking these flames right now to ensure that they do not grow.
Yeah.
They absolutely do not grow. And that is again, that is the goal of getting all of these resources in place. That is the goal behind asking for additional resources right now, right away. And I'm hopeful that, again, that with all of these resources that we can attack this with the intensity and efficiency that it needs to happen in a place that is so populated, so heavily populated. I mean, this is right in the heart of Los Angeles.
And to that point, this will be my last question, just about traffic, about getting out of there, because it is so heavily populated on a good night, on a regular night.
On a regular night, it's crazy. Absolutely. On a regular night, it's crazy.
Traffic, management tonight.
So we have already secured additional deployment from the Hollywood Division police officers who are very, very familiar with the neighborhood, who know every ingress and egress point and have staffed up at every ingress and egress point into the neighborhoods and are directing people where to go. They have also almost instantaneously made the request for additional resources. That those resources are either on their way or are already stationed and deployed to help with that traffic management. And so I think I would say to everyone who is leaving the area, follow the guidance of Hollywood PD. They are here with the latest information. They're in touch with our command posts in the area and with the Emergency Operations Center, and they will guide you in the best direction to go. And I encourage everyone to follow the advice that they're getting, because they're in constant communication with the rest of the city and how we're deploying these resources and what we're seeing on the ground.
Councilmember Nithya Rahman, we thank you so much for taking the time out. Of course, she represents part of this area that is on fire right now.
Yes.
The Sunset Fire in the Hollywood Hills. We thank you for taking the time out.
Thank you so much. And if I could say one more thing, this is obviously the moment we never wanted to see. here in Council District 4 in the Hollywood Hills. And I want to ask everyone else who is in Los Angeles, if you can stay home, if you can keep our streets clear, if you're not in the evacuation areas, leave our streets free for our emergency responders and for people who need to leave the impacted areas and shelter in place. Make sure you're getting your updated information on the Watch Duty app or on LAFD's alerts website. Refresh that page, stay informed, and as much as possible, leave the streets clear for people who urgently need to leave these areas.
Yeah, this is a part of town that talks about tourism so much, and usually the message is come here, come to Hollywood. Tonight, the message is stay away and let us be safe. Thank you so much, Nitya Raman, LA City Council.
Thank you for covering this. Thank you for getting the word out.
All right, now to Altadena.
All right, we certainly appreciate our partners there at Fox 11.
Personally, I'd go with Sparkle. It cleans everyday messes, and it won't clean out your wallet. Add to cart.
At this time concerning the latest fire that is now broken out there in Southern California.
You got that right.
As you can see, we are looking at aerial shots there above the.
The wait is over. The Digi Anywhere USB Plus is back in stock and ready.
Going to include Camino Palmero Street, which runs between Vista and Fuller, and that one little pocket there that pushes right up against the canyon.
Yes, it would be everything in between there. We know there's apartment buildings, et cetera.
Yeah.
And this is obviously just one part of our larger evacuation zone. So we are in no ways saying that everybody else can stay put. If you're in the zone, please leave. Hollywood Boulevard, Sunset Boulevard are full of apparatus, so don't try to go east to west on those roads. Just go south.
Okay, good to know. Yeah, we have a reporter that's there on the Sunset Strip, and even there it's full of fire trucks and apparatus.
So what you're saying, yeah, go south, go down to Santa Monica, go down to Melrose before you go east.
Look at all
west.
those fire trucks lined up there.
And we do have the Pan Pacific Recreation Center on Beverly Boulevard is open and available as a shelter.
Margaret, you mentioned Hollywood High School as well earlier. Does that still stand as an evacuation center?
That didn't come from me. I'm not sure who provided you that. I know that I can confirm Pan Pacific Recreation Center.
Okay. Great. So there's at least that. We know Hollywood High School is available from other sources. But, well, Margaret, you saw the gridlock. I know you've been watching these images.
Yeah, that's insane.
It's a double-edged sword. It's, people heeding the warning to get out, but at the same time, as you can imagine, a frustration that we have seen so intimately of people trying to get out of other fires as well over the last 24 hours plus. Talk about the balance that's involved with trying to get out, even facing frustration in gridlock.
Yes, we see this in many places when there's massive evacuations. Even when they have more roads to exit, they're still going to fill up. We just have too many people. So you compound that by the high density that we have, the quantity of vehicles that need to get out. It's just a difficult situation. And it's even more important for those in the warning zone, if they can leave early, even though they may still be considered safe. I use air quotes lightly because we've seen what can happen. It's better to go than when you've got flames coming at you.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And especially if you're in that zone, Margaret, for those that might take a little bit longer to get ready. If you see that you're in that zone, perhaps you're a caretaker of the elderly, or the elderly that are on their own might need a little bit more extra time. Probably a good idea to just heed that warning and get your go bag ready to go. As we look at this fire, Margaret, they have made so much progress with these water drops, and it looks like there's just one flank right here that.
It looks like the water drops are really helping a lot.
How many acres had
the helicopters dropping
do we have
large amount of water
numbers by any chance
over areas? It seems to be effective.
Is the latest update on the Sunset Fire?
We don't have any containment numbers at this time. The initial acreage was estimated to be 10. We obviously know it's more than that.
Check the other feed real quick.
It's probably...
Seems like we've been through the worst of the winds so far, the gust. But I'm wondering, you know, the choppers and the aircraft that are flying and doing the water drops are making the big difference for us. Will they be able to continue to fly, do you believe?
You know, it's hard to say because it's their call to make on that. I definitely think there's a much better chance at that because we're not looking at wind gusts nearly at the intensity as last night. It almost feels weird to say this, but essentially what we're looking at for tomorrow into early Friday morning, that's a normal Santa Ana wind, if you kind of get what I'm getting at here. It's a typical. It's a typical. It'll still be very strong. It'll still be gusty in spots, but that's what we've seen with our last couple of Santa Ana wind events. And again, nothing like what we had last night. So we'll still have a lot of high fire danger, but not looking at 80 to 90 mile per hour wind gusts across some of our mountain spots. So I think they'll still be able to do an aerial attack as we go through the next couple of days.
All right, David Bigger there, thank you so much. We are now on hour 33, committed to staying on the air 24/7 as long as it takes to get you through these fires as we continue to cover these devastating wildfires in Los Angeles and in Altadena. To help with that, we have brought in reporters from our NBC and Telemundo stations from across the country.
Including Daniel Ramirez from our affiliate in Las Vegas, and he joins us right now live from the bottom of Runyon Canyon. Welcome.
All right.
Thank you. What's the latest from your vantage point, Daniel?
Thank you for the opportunity, Kathy, Jonathan. It looks like it's going to continue to be a long night for crews here with the Los Angeles Fire Department. Right now, we're currently located just in front of Runyon Canyon Park, and my photog will help me here, being able to see kind of just some of the flames, some of the embers that are showing here in parts of the mountain area here in the area of Hollywood with this fire that, like you guys mentioned, only started just a couple of hours ago. Currently, with the latest information, just a couple of acres, but especially in these types of situations, it's crucial being able to contain it. The sooner the better, especially with the wind gusts in this area. We've been able to see helicopters continuing to fly around in this zone, as well as the residential areas here where people are evacuating. We've seen them leave with their luggage from hotels, from apartment complexes here in this area in front of Runyon Canyon Park. And that's why, including, we've also seen a few that have been waiting for Ubers, waiting for family members, waiting for them to be picked up here in this area, while there's a lot that's unforeseen as to what the conditions might be for their homes once they get back. But thankfully, it seems like crews here with the Los Angeles Fire Department are doing a really good job, and it's obviously going to be an ongoing fight throughout the remainder of the night. And as you can see here, yeah, there's dozens of crews here on the ground, but certainly probably a few up higher in the higher elevations area here of Hollywood. So obviously we'll continue our coverage here and stay on top of whatever goes on, and hopefully they're able to combat the flames head on. Sooner the better. Live from Hollywood, my name is Daniel Ramirez for NBC4. Back to you two in the studio.
Daniel, you're at the base of what was a historic property that turned into a park decades ago, Runyon Canyon, one of the most popular hiking spots in all of the city of Los Angeles. I know that you're visiting us from our sister station in Las Vegas, so we want to thank you for helping us out during this really tough time for our city. Have you been able to talk to anybody as you made your way up the hill to this area? Did you get a chance to speak to anybody who may be getting out, or they're in their cars or anything of that nature, or even the firefighters themselves?
Yeah, definitely. We have been able to speak to a few people here in the area, mostly just a wave of emotions and just a lot to process in the moment. There's including a few people here, residentials, thankfully, and just waiting with faith, with the hope that the flames don't make their way any further down the mountainside. And yeah, like you mentioned, the Runyon Canyon Park is an iconic area here in the Hollywood area, normally for people to be able to just explore, and just one of the iconic places here that maybe a lot of tourists, not just necessarily the people, the LA locals, but definitely for the tourists, that it's an attraction for them to be able to explore this area. But like you mentioned, yeah, we'll hopefully be able to see more of the results once the sun comes out in the next couple of hours, once in the AM hours of the day, to hopefully be able to see, hopefully not too bad of a result of the aftermath of the flames here tonight.
All right, Daniel, thank you so much. We want to check in right now with NBC4's Darsha Phillips. She's been in the Pacific Palisades covering the fires there. She was there all last night, and she is now live along PCH at Temescal Canyon with an update for us. Darsha?
Yeah, Kathy, we had to come down to PCH because a lot of the cell phone towers burned up in the Pacific Palisades, so we just simply don't have any reception. Now, I was able to, I'm going to take a walk over here because I want to show you what's going on at Temescal Canyon. This is something that we've run into all throughout the Palisades. You can kind of see it. It's a little bit dark, but we've got power lines that have just are hanging really low, which is why you see the CHP officer there with the spotlight. They want to make sure that no one's going to get tangled in those power lines. So these are the things that we are seeing all across the Pacific Palisades. And I was here last night. Obviously, the winds were so strong. They were extreme winds. It's definitely died down, but we are still seeing active flame up there. We are still seeing some pretty strong gusts up there. So the fight isn't over. And also what we are seeing is just complete devastation. Now, since there wasn't cell phone reception up there, we couldn't get a signal out there. I did do something where I taped something on camera to show you the sheer devastation of Palisades Village. Just take a listen. We are right here by Palisades Village, just off of Sunset. This is the Ralphs, or this was the Ralphs that sat here just off of Sunset. We were here last night. It was standing when we left, and as you can see, it has been completely destroyed by the fire. The grocery store, really unrecognizable. Now, I do want to walk over this way, guys. I'm going to show you some more devastation here in Palisades Village. These are businesses just across the street that have been completely decimated also by the fire. They are unrecognizable. We're going to try and cross the street to kind of show you exactly what is happening here. I am really in complete awe as to what we are seeing here, because when we left about 1 o'clock in the morning, this morning, all of this was standing, and then it caught fire. We're jumping over some water here because, of course, we've seen water main breaks, lots of obstacles that first responders are having to navigate through. But take a look at what we are seeing right near here. I couldn't even tell you what this was, some sort of business. And then if we can actually look past that, you see a chimney standing, because behind Sunset Boulevard are just rows and rows of homes. And to see these streets, what used to be neighborhoods, completely flattened by this fire is just really unimaginable. You cannot put words to the devastation that folks are going to come back to. We did speak to two people who were walking through their neighborhood. They didn't want to speak on camera, but they had tears in their eyes because they're looking around and they do not recognize the Palisades right now. If you turn around, we're going to also show you this building right here. I believe it's a bank. It is on fire still. So the wind is not as strong as it was last night, but we are still feeling wind. We still see active fire.
Burning.
We still see buildings that are burning right now. So lots of things that fire crews are still having to take a hold of, and it's still going to be a long day ahead of them, a long night, and several long weeks ahead for this community. We'll send it back to you.
Yeah, nobody's really talked about
the aftermath earlier
of all
to kind of
this.
show the devastation in the Palisades. You're taking a quick look at people who are trying to get back up to their homes to make sure they're okay. They're not allowed to come up here by their cars, but they are allowed to bike or walk up. For now, that's the latest from the Palisades. I'm Darsha Phillips. We'll send it back to you guys.
All right, we really see that ash blowing there by you.
Yeah, that looks like snow, but it's ash.
Now, live from Hollywood, Gotti.
Hey there, we were watching Conan Nolan a little bit earlier as we were on our way over here. I mean, there was a little bit of a panic when you see that fire pop up in the Hollywood Hills. We were down at the Palisades fire, and you just know what the high winds can do. Fortunately, right now, and again, this is just right now, you look at the trees, and there is no wind that we can see here. And if there are wind gusts, they're not as extreme as what we saw last night. If you can hear all above us, we've got about 3 choppers that are circling. They are coming in so low that you can feel it in your lungs. In fact, well, let's see if we can head over here. Right now we are at, hold on real fast. Let's let the,
got the police officer
go through
by.
here.
Let them pass through. Let them pass through.
LAPD coming through. They're starting to evacuate a lot of people. You've got people that are gathering here on the street. They want to see what's going on. They want to see a lot of these airdrops. But here, There's a straight shot, and Franklin. Just down the way is Hollywood Worth NBC News. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for everything you do. And so right over here, you've got these choppers. Excuse me. These choppers are coming in, and they've got this night sun. They line up their shot, and then they come in sometimes with night vision, and they put those drops exactly where fire is. It's been impressive to see. We've been watching with all
like
of these
their
people
feed is kind of going in and out. Let's
first
try a
line of
different
defense.
feed.
Brave men and women that are piloting those helicopters. We might be able to, we might lose a little bit of cell phone service here. So bear with me. If it starts to break up, let me know. But this is where those helicopters are coming. And I want to show you exactly how close we are to the flames and embers. Fortunately, we saw some flames earlier. Those flames have been knocked down to embers. But just beyond these lights over here, where we've got a fire engine that is staged, it is fully loaded. We saw it load up with water from this fire hydrant. Fortunately, the water pressure here is holding.
We have that
but
sound.
just up this way, you've got the embers. Those are the embers right up here. That is where the fire is actively burning. Probably 500 yards away from so many of these homes here on Franklin. Then you've got one of these getting ready to make a drop. We have seen dozens and dozens and dozens of these burning up towards Mulholland Drive because of the topography. However, as
we're getting a lot of
it's the wind. The wind is pushing towards Hollywood. Fortunately, not a lot of wind, but as that wind pushes towards Hollywood,
and get rid of this stream
this
here.
is the area that firefighters are most concerned with. This is the area that is technically supposed to be under evacuation, and you see law enforcement going through trying to evacuate people. Down on Hollywood Boulevard, there is a whole lot of traffic that is somewhat gridlocked down there. But up here, you've got, here we go. Incredible work by these pilots.
All right,
they're coming through, and already in the last 5 minutes that we've been here, we saw what was a raging hillside turn into smoldering embers. We are praying that is the case because, you know, what we saw in the Palisades is something we will never forget. What we saw in Eaton, that the Eaton fire is something that that community will take so long to recover from. If this would have happened,
area in the Hollywood Hills, still battling the Sunset Fire at this time.
Sorry about that,
I'm going to show you
guys.
this other vantage point that we also have of folks down there on the ground watching as these firefighters are battling this fire in the Hollywood Hills. It's been interesting to see the sorts of folks that are coming by this live shot that we have here, but in the corner just staring up
just looking up at the hills.
See as those firefighters are trying to put out the flames burning in the Sunset Fire. All right, we are going to step away now for a 2-minute break. Stay right here with us
2-minute break for them.
on Live Now.
Right as I left the other feed, so let's let me go back and get this bad boy real quick. We'll stop this feed and we'll go back to the other one. I apologize for the inconvenience there, guys. I got this now.
They are hitting it spot on, and it has made a huge difference.
It sure has, and again, it's so impressive to watch. Some of these helicopters are equipped with night vision. You can tell because they're coming in with no lights on. The other ones have those night suns that just they light up this neighborhood as they go over, and then they light up the hillside, and then it is that pinpoint accuracy, and you see it.
We may have lost Gotti's shot for good there. You can understand, you know, the cell reception in these areas right now, not great, especially as more law enforcement and first responders move into that area. We do want to go to our Conan Nolan. He's been standing by above the Hollywood Hills there on Solar Drive. Conan, we've seen a lot of progress. In fact, right now, we don't even see many flames behind you compared to when we last spoke with you.
Yeah, look at that.
That's right. And Gotti, just a moment ago,
that whole left corner there was just burning.
In, pretty good terms as to the importance of timing, that this didn't happen yesterday. Yes, it looks a lot better. I believe we see that that is, I believe, a LA City Fire. The county fire helicopter, the the Chinook 47s, that is the QRF, the Rapid Quick Response Reaction Force. That is a public-private partnership with LA County Fire, Ventura County Fire, Orange County Fire Authority, and a private aviation, I believe Council Aviation. I'll check that in a moment. Yeah, show the video that we saw just a little while ago. This was the flame active fire here in Runyon Canyon as it was making its way down the canyon wall towards the homes down where God
Yeah, look at that.
Away
That was
from
just a
our
little while
location,
ago.
Solar Drive, which is
So
where
they're
so
definitely
many of these
making a lot of
homes
progress in
would
Hollywood.
face
That's
calamity
great. I'm
if
glad
we had a wind
to
shift,
see
if
that
you
they're
have
on
a
top of their
dramatic,
game.
Gust that is propulsion of this fire, because it rapidly makes its way up the canyon wall, which is where we are. It goes down slowly. Of course, as we've said before, when it goes up the canyon, it preheats the vegetation ahead of it, which doesn't take long because it is so dry. The vegetation, the chaparral, the manzanita, the California scrub brush. That isn't a problem. Now, we do have a couple of engine companies here. Station 30 out of Hollywood. They know this neighborhood pretty well. They're here. Talk to them. Structure protection, just in case those flames make their way this way. But yeah, based on what we have seen earlier, there's such a difference between what we saw, the calamity, the horror that was the Pacific Palisades and continues to be, and what we saw in Altadena and Pasadena and the Eaton fire that started in Eaton Canyon.
I think it would be nice if we got an
National
update on
Forest,
those. We've been spending a lot of time on the
continues to
Hollywood
burn. But,
sunset fires,
from what we saw
but not a lot of
later
the
this evening,
new ones.
the calamity there, the worst seems to be over in terms of, again, so many homes being put in harm's way in that fire. In this fire, when we first heard the call that there was a fire in the canyon here in Laurel Canyon, we are south of Mulholland, we are east of Laurel Canyon. We thought about the 1982 fire that lost scores of homes and the fact that there's just so much of what we call the rural-urban interface, so many homes that abut against the rural wildland. And that is a beautiful place to live, but it's an awful place to be in the case of a fire. But as we said, yeah, some major,
If you're watching, make sure to like and subscribe. It's really going to help our channel get out there and get the views that we need. So
you probably are.
Helps out algorithm out.
$658 a year.
Get past this. There we go. We're back there. So, yeah, again, just please
adding the fuel,
hit the like button. That'll help the algorithm push it to more viewers. And if you haven't already done so, make sure you subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Yes, sir.
This is a very promising sign. Back to you.
Is a very good sight to see. All right, and we have some new information now. CAL FIRE is putting the acreage of this right now at 50 acres.
And we
50
don't know how many
acres,
people have been
nice.
evacuated from the Sunset Fire evacuation zone right now, again under mandatory evacuation orders, but we did get an update from the LA County Sheriff's Department tonight. They have set up an evacuation center for the Sunset Fire at the Pan Pacific Rec Center that's located at 7600 Beverly Boulevard in the city of Los Angeles. That is according to an update from the LA Fire Department. Again, an evacuation center now open for the Sunset Fire, established at the Pan Pacific Rec Center located at 7600 Beverly Boulevard.
Progress being made because of the water drops, but also the weather tonight. Meteorologist David Bigger is here with more on conditions around the...
So yeah, it looks like the fire is starting to get contained there in the Sunset Fires, Hollywood. It's been burning there for quite some time, and it was getting pretty out of hand there for a moment. So it's good to see that that's getting under control. Let's check in with our other feed and see what's going on there.
It was interesting to see. I wasn't thinking that that's what we were going to see, but that's the first time I've seen something where the hillside was affected by the heat or the fire. Also, the other thing about that area is that a lot of the power poles were burning, and so they were leaning. And what made it very nerve-wracking is the thought of perhaps going back down Topanga Canyon. I was worried that by the time we left the area where we were near the village, that that it would just mean that we were going to encounter power poles that have snapped due to the fact that they had the burning embers. But what I wanted to do earlier today, but it's very difficult to get around on PCH, is to go farther down south towards Dukes, Malibu, if you know this area. So you go down this PCH towards Dukes. Just past there is a huge swath of oceanside homes, beachside homes that are just gone. And unfortunately, I do know people who had a property right there where I'm talking about, and the whole swath of those homes, not just his, but all the people around him and farther south, that area was gone. It was really remarkable, Alex and Marla, because, you know, you think that because you're close to the ocean and the ocean breezes, you might be okay. And for many years, those houses were spared. But this is
just stepped away for a second.
To me. And as
Say
you get
goodnight to my wife.
Topanga Canyon, that was unusual
Which
to me
I didn't
too.
mute that, so you probably heard all
that.
that.
That if you know the area, and I grew up in this area, I grew up in the San Fernando Valley, Simi Valley. So we're talking about the feed store on the corner of Topanga and PCH, gone. Everything on that side of
if you're
PCH,
watching, if you haven't
gone.
already
So
said something in the chat room, let me know that you're there. Leave a comment.
Rosenthal Wines, it's just
Make sure you like and
decimated.
subscribe.
There weren't, by the time I saw it, there weren't even any burning embers. So
Let me see if I can find anything on X.
It's terrible.
Of anything
Mostly
showing up
unaffected.
there.
Moon shadows, if you know moon shadows also appears.
These mushrooms make you feel
Again, if you've tried these mushrooms, let me know in the comments. I keep seeing this commercial pop up.
These mushrooms help you focus while lowering stress.
I like to focus and be stress-free.
Okay. We do see a lot of
How about y'all?
activity right now. We're seeing a lot of fire trucks come and go.
Leave a
So,
thumbs up
right
in the
now,
comments
this is,
if you
an
like
area
to
that they
be
are focusing
stress-free
on. Alex,
as well.
Earlier today, we had Ed Laskos on, who was near the Gladstones area. He had told us that he believed that it was gone. But, I mean, a lot of fog of war, and it'll be interesting to find out all the rest of it. But as Susan, as somebody who knows this area so well, and you think about, and is such a foodie you are, just these are such iconic restaurants that people not only from here but visit from all around the world. Some of the most beautiful pictures, having drinks right by the ocean, and sort of are celebrated the culture of Malibu.
Oh, absolutely. Now, I don't think Gladstone's was gone. We were in the parking lot, and I thought it was okay. Moon shadows, however, going further farther north. Moon shadows, you can't even find it.
Let me ask
when
you
I went
this.
to go find my friend's house. Yes, Marla.
Well, we had reported about the Rio Inn enchilada. We knew that last night. There was also word that Mastro's was gone as well, but you just said that Mastro's is still standing.
Yeah, Mastro's is still standing. The Moon Shadows was interesting because, yeah, Moon Shadows has been there. I mean, I think I went there for one of my prom dinners in high school. That's how long it's been there.
I went to Duke's.
So that was a while ago. But you would see it as you drive down PCH. You always saw it. You know, it was easy to spot. And just like when I went to go see the status of my friend's house, I had to rely on the navigation on my car to see precisely where the address was because it was unrecognizable. And ditto with Moon Shadows. It's like I drove back south towards Gladstone's and I saw nothing. And I know
surreal.
where it is
So sad.
in general.
Yeah, of course. And that's such a landmark and icon for so many years and decades. Susan, we thank you so much. Glad that you were able to join us live. We know that the self-service and our transmitting capabilities can be, you know, hairy given the situation. So thank you very much. Joining us on the line is someone who took the time out last night who was under evacuation from the Palisades fire. Charlotte is joining us tonight. If my memory serves me correctly, you basically were evacuated.
All right, our thanks to our partners there at Fox LA for bringing us the latest. We're going to come back into their coverage on the other side of this 2-minute break.
All right, well, go ahead and check out the other feed that's going on right now. How about that? Let's catch up with that one. See what's going on the Los Angeles feed, on the NBC News feed.
And all sorts of stuff happening throughout some of our canyon roadways, including Topanga Canyon. We're likely going to have that problem popping up once again the next time it rains. And then working our way back closer to Santa Monica, you can see here's Will Rogers Beach, for example. That's Riviera Country Club. That's kind of about how far we've been watching. That's why there's all those evacuation warnings posted. Back to you.
All right, David, I'm going to give it a second try here. We're going to now toss things out to Tracy Leong, who's keeping an eye on what's happening out in Altadena. Tracy.
Yeah, we are on West Palm near Lincoln, where as Sean Browning, my photographer, and I were driving around, we just noticed hundreds of homes destroyed in this neighborhood, including the one right behind me. You can see there is still smoke and fire smoldering inside this garage. This car completely destroyed. These homes nearby completely gutted. We don't see a lot of active raging flames as we drove through, and just a difference that the weather we've seen in the last 24 hours. This time yesterday we could barely stand because of those strong winds, which were fueling those flames and caused it to spread all over this area. Here's a look at something we shot earlier tonight when we were on Lake Avenue, where we saw dozens of businesses destroyed. We saw firefighters actively working to put out the flames. Here on Lake Avenue near Beverly, and take a look around. It looks like a war zone across the street. All these businesses either completely destroyed, some still burning and smoldering as we speak. Sean Browning is giving you a look at the Bank of America building just right across the street from Chase Bank, and you can see it's just going up in flames. We've seen fire crews pull up, but because of the extent, those intense flames, it looks like they are trying to put some water. They are using a defensive fight from the bottom. At the front doors, looks like they are spraying water in with their hoses, but you can just see this thick plume of smoke billowing in the sky, and those are just wild flames that are shooting out the back of the building. And just to the right of Bank of America, several stores and businesses, possibly restaurants, completely destroyed. Yeah, there's a lot of fire trucks, a lot of crews out here. We're trying to get a better angle of this. And if you just take a look over here, Sean, to the left, where we see these buildings as well, it looks like there are multiple homes just down the street. We're on Beverly Way that are burning down, and across, completely destroyed. And you see cars like this, they burn to the ground. This is just so much destruction that we are seeing out here, and that smoke causing poor air quality right now. This looks like a church, and then take a look at the Bank of America building. You see all those embers flying up into the air, and the winds, not as strong as what we saw last night, but those winds are still picking up those flames. They're still picking up those embers, and there are still a lot of buildings and businesses on this street, on Lake Avenue. This is one of the main roads that takes you through Altadena that have not burned down. So the concern is protecting those other businesses that are at risk of going up in flames as well. And as Sean and I drove up Lake Avenue,
Sunset.
Wow. Wow.
All right, and we shot that around 5:30 tonight, and back out here, we're in the North Arroyo neighborhood where these streets are
go over
blocked
to another
off.
view
And
real
one of the main
quick.
concerns
It's
is there's a lot
going
of
to
down
be
power lines after those fires
an
went through these
overhead
neighborhoods. It
flyover
caused a lot of
view.
these trees to fall on power lines and power lines to just snap. So that's a big concern. We're also seeing officers driving through this neighborhood to make sure that these homes are protected and to ensure that looters don't come in and try and take advantage of a lot of these homes, since many people have left and evacuated, or the homes are destroyed and there's no one here protecting or guarding them. But that's the very latest. Reporting live in Altadena. Back to you in the studio.
All right, Tracy Leong live for us there in Altadena. We want to switch gears now, send things over to Robert Kovacic live for us at the Hollywood Hills. And the very latest now on the Sunset Fire. Robert.
Well, the very latest is you're talking about acreage, and, people think that maybe that...
All right, we're going to step away from this one real quick, and we're going to transition over to this young lady right
here. These winds, although they have died down this strong and powerful as they were yesterday, they are still moving.
Looks like they're getting a little playback issues on their end there.
Along Pacific Coast Highway here is that there are fire engines and fire crews kind of stationed along Pacific Coast Highway near some of the properties that are still standing. They're kind of taking that defensive posture with their fire hoses poised in case those embers blow down the hillside. And not only reach the properties that are on the ocean front, but also some of the properties that are still standing at the bottom of those hillsides on the other side of the street. La Vista here, we did see a truck making its way, I believe a first responder or some type of fire personnel making their way up that winding road and using a flashlight of some sort to kind of, I guess, maybe look for hot spots or identify any trouble areas that maybe were going to be problematic. And if so, I would imagine they would maybe get somebody up into that area to try to get a hand on that and get in front of it before it were to flare up. Now, even though we showed you that hill and it looks like those flames are small, perspective, right? And the depth of field, right, is one of the things that we've mentioned as we cover this fire. From our vantage point right here, it looks small, but really when you're up close on those flames, they're huge, they're massive, and they certainly are a threat to homes, not only on that side of the hillside, but also homes on this side, these oceanfront properties, as these winds bring those embers down this way. It is something that we've seen play out last night. Entire blocks of Pacific Coast Highway just leveled and decimated. Really sad images to see. We saw some of those, especially this morning as the sun came up, and it is hard to imagine what these people are coming back home to. And some of the people that live here who still have their homes standing, we can imagine they might feel lucky and they might be grateful that their home was spared. There's also sometimes guilt associated with that, mixed emotions that maybe your house is still standing, but your neighbor's house is just completely leveled and total loss. So a lot of emotions tonight, heavy hearts for the firefighters, the people that live in these communities, the journalists that are out covering these fires all across Southern California.
Like and subscribe. I really appreciate it, and it'll help push.
We're so sorry. We just lost Michelle's audio, even though we can still see her. Michelle, if you can hear us, thank you so much for that report. We'll check back with you in a little while.
Like and subscribe.
And we're going to go to Chris Christie, though. He is live above
I'm going to step away for 1 second,
fire with the latest
use the restroom,
from his
and I will
vantage
get
point.
something
Chris?
to drink, and I will be right back.
Yeah, Colleen, take a look at this. A little bit of a concerning picture here. I want to tell you where we are. We're in Brentwood, actually, a little bit over to the east from the Pacific Palisades. What you're looking at up the center of your screen at the top, you see that big flare-up up there? That's Mandeville Canyon. But if you look in the foreground, there is a brand new fire start that is flaring up right up the hill from these hilltop mansions in Brentwood that was not there earlier. This whole area has been, the fire's been creeping up into this area throughout the day, and now you have a patch of flames right there that is no more than a couple hundred yards from the homes along Pescara Drive there. Go ahead and tilt down just a little bit there, Lucas. You've got Bayless Road, La Condesa Drive. This is eerily close to those homes that you're looking at right there, and this is the very top of Brentwood, I would say, just south of Mandeville Canyon. If you've got your map out, you can kind of get a picture of where we are. What I want to do is go ahead and transition to our Google Maps overlay where you can see what this looks like in daylight. So along that hilltop there, just below Sullivan Fire Road, is where that fire appears to be burning from our vantage point, somewhere between Sullivan Fire Road and Farmers Fire Road. But if you look at the end of Farmers Fire Road, there is a whole patch of very large homes right there on the very northern edge of Brentwood that are no doubt looking up in their backyards and wondering what is going on, what do they need to do, because it is certainly glowing, and certainly, you know, in this environment, anything can appear threatening. Now, I'm not saying this area is threatened right now, but I'm saying we're looking at this as a brand new fire start that was not here earlier and is real. Go ahead and bring it back, just back out live. Look at this. very tall flames now sending embers up that hillside, approaching the ridgeline. It's kind of approaching the top of Sullivan Fire Road. So it's a wind and terrain-driven patch of fire here. And my concern is that the winds are actually blowing in this direction. That you can see some power lines possibly running through there, it looks like, and the wind is literally blowing all these embers in this direction where there are indeed there is indeed a neighborhood on the northern edge of Brentwood. This is Bayless Road, La Condesa Drive, and Pescara Drive at the bottom of Farmers Fire Road. So we're going to keep an eye on this. There was a helicopter in the area, guys, that made a pass a little bit earlier, about maybe 5 or 10 minutes ago. Did not drop any water. My guess is that they may be preparing to do exactly that. They're probably picking up a new refreshed load right away, but we're going to keep a close eye on this one.
Absolutely. Chris, thank you very much for that live report. Let's go to Altadena and Brianna Willis from our sister station, KFSN, who's helping out with our team coverage on the fires. Let's take a look.
Yeah, again, we're in Altadena tonight covering this deadly Eaton fire. Right now, I want to show you, firefighters are right now coming past this street right now. Obviously, resources stretched completely thin. They're just completely passing what you can see here, this devastation. This home right now on Norwood Place and Mendocino Street, the latest to go up in flames. Now, we've been here trying to figure out, get a sense of this home. It appears to be a family home, appeared to be 2 stories. We saw some bikes, some toys that are just now completely reduced to rubble. Obviously, complete devastation here. We've been here really throughout the day talking to residents, some people coming to see if their home is still standing, others not so lucky. This home, now the latest one to go up in flames. So we'll continue to monitor these conditions, but for now, I'll send things back to you guys in the studio. In Altadena, Brianna Willis, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Brianna, thank you for that report. As you can see, it still remains a difficult situation in all the fire zones where homes continue to burn tonight. So we want to make sure that you understand fully that the danger continues. Time lapse there of the fire in towards Runyon Canyon, burning towards Hollywood. And let's go now to Dallas Raines, who is standing by right now as he prepared. Sorry to do this to you, Dallas, because I don't think he was prepared, and I think he's having a quick snack. But our apologies, Dallas. I mean, you're on all the time.
It's behind the scenes that everybody wants to see,
Dallas. I just
taken
a bite of a protein bar.
I know. I saw it. I saw you unwrap it.
Thank you very much. Did you have a question, David? Or
well, I just wanted to get an update because we're continuing to watch the fact that I don't want to lose the fact that there are still homes burning tonight as we speak. People are losing their homes and properties, and so we don't want people to relax and think that suddenly this thing is over, but it's far from over.
No, absolutely. And what we do here in the Weather Center is we talk about the meteorology, about what's going on. So we're very concerned with humidity levels in the atmosphere, dew points, how fast the winds are blowing, will they break down, get slower, and that's where we're kind of concentrating on. But if you'll remember, the bottom line is the red flag warnings remain in effect all the way in through Friday. So what that means from the weather side, you cannot let your guard down, but we can take a little breath due to the fact that we don't have those powerful hurricane force winds, and we're not going to see anymore. They're not going to happen tonight. They're not going to happen Friday. And even with the next event that I'm forecasting to come in next week,
anybody get a chance to see that Cavs OKC game tonight?
We still have gusty winds, especially for our friends out in the IE. They are a little bit closer to that low pressure which is down over the Sea of Cortez. So their wind velocities are still up, and they will remain that way for tonight and tomorrow, with wind gusts up to 25 to 35 miles per hour below those canyon passes. Okay, for the Palisades, again, gusty winds. You say, well, that's not anything like we had, and that is.
All right, buddy. Let's check out a different feed. Let's check out these aerial views that I've. Oh, that was that, huh?
Without the ones like you working tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. No matter your industry, Grainger's here for you.
Yeah, they are. They're not only here for me, they're here for you. Looks like we're in a commercial break. Looks like everybody's taking a break. It's the 12 o'clock hour. We're approaching the 12 o'clock hour. Looks like we've been streaming for about 2 hours now. We've done a couple other streams earlier today as these fires have progressed. Checking in on the status of everything going on. Look at all those helicopters out there. They're definitely not drones, I hope. Okay, we'd have a whole nother problem. Maybe we could ask them to help out a little bit. Come fly by with a drone, have some water on the drone, and dump it off. What do you guys think? If you haven't already done so, this would be a great time. Great time for you guys to go ahead and give the channel a quick like. This will help push us out to the algorithm so others will be able to see our content, and we can create a community of like-minded individuals who like to share content, like to hear news as it is, not a narrative that has been corrupted. We have an unbiased view here. So yeah, make sure you hit that like button. And if you already haven't done so, subscribe. You know I'm gonna ask you to subscribe. I can't ask you to like and not subscribe, so make sure you hit that subscribe button one more time. It looks like we've got about 13 seconds, 10-second countdown. If you're in the chat, go ahead and say something in the chat. Let us know that you're here. I'd like to see everybody who's out there.
Welcome back into Live Now from Fox. We're continuing with our coverage there out of Fox 11 in LA. They're providing context to the many wildfires burning across Southern California.
Been to Sunset Fire. This is our view from Skyfox, and
Skyfox doesn't have a very good view, do they?
I'm not sure if. Oh, this is the Palisades fire.
Okay, yeah. Why don't we zoom out a little bit?
I see. So this is looking from the Sunset Fire in Hollywood, looking toward the Palisades fire.
Okay.
So there's a big difference between, big distance, I should say, from
Big
one
distance.
to the other.
Yeah. So you can see the magnitude of these fires just in that view that she did. That view is from Hollywood, and that was zooming into the Palisades fires, which were the original fires, I believe. So you can see the magnitude and how far and vast it has been spread. So this isn't just one fire that is slowly spreading.
Thank you. First and foremost, from the city of Pico
Rivera, right next to each other. This is embers flying miles away and creating more fires, and those embers flying miles away and creating other fires. So
families that are experiencing this devastation.
Crazy.
So they allowed me to create a partnership.
Look at that fire right there. That is, oh wow, look at that. Zoom in there. Yep.
And what we want to do is offer free boarding for horses and livestock.
Look at that.
Displaced by the fires.
That is
again,
unbelievable.
Just trying to see how we can help and in the way possible. One of the things that these families are suffering right now is we really want to make sure that they focus on their safety and recovery without worrying about.
So it looks like they got a little map overlaid on top of the screen, so you can kind of get an idea of what we're looking at and where.
You've been in Los Angeles for some time now. What are your just personal thoughts on what we're experiencing?
That fire is just out of control. That's unbelievable, and that's just one fire. And then you got this up over here. Look at this in Ventura,
to understand the loss of
Encino Vista Drive,
their home, their loss of their
East Topanga Fire Road.
What we want to try and do is help out whatever we can.
We've heard a lot about the Topanga Road over there.
And we feel, livestock and animals are a very important part of everybody's family and their belongings.
Yeah. We all have pets, and livestock is no different. If you have, horses or pigs or, any kind of chickens, you want to protect all those animals. And with the horses, they were letting them loose earlier today, so that was nice to to see that. Let's hope that there's, like this gentleman is talking about, let's hope that there's people who are donating their property for the rescuing of horses or the placement of horses and other animals, that livestock that needs to be taken care of. And look, let's look at some of this coverage right here. This guy's with a hose, just trying to press it out. That's just unbelievable. Let me know your thoughts in the comments and in the chat room. How do you feel about this? Do you think this is a part of the ineptitude of the city of Los Angeles, the mayor? Is it the governor? You know, is Gavin Newsom? Is he responsible for this? I think he has a lot to do with being responsible for this, where he's funding, you know, these areas, and the money's just not going to the proper places.
And since we made that map, there's another fire.
Look at this.
Is the Sunset Fire, which
So we got the Palisades fire, then we had the Eaton fire,
the Hollywood neighborhood as
then
well.
the Hearst fire,
Hills, specifically.
then the Hollywood
so far,
Hills
it has
fire.
not actually burned into the Hollywood neighborhood, which is the most important part.
If you're tuning in, I appreciate it. Please like and subscribe. Please leave a like. It really helps push this out to the rest of the YouTube algorithm and helps us create a community of like-minded individuals. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so.
That has burned almost 16,000 acres. This is at last check. But okay, here is the Palisades fire information on your screen. 0% containment, at least 1,000 structures destroyed. We're talking small, large businesses, complete neighborhoods wiped.
Yeah, look at that. That looks like a bomb, you know, a war zone. Looks like a bomb went off. So we're looking at 15,800 acres in Palisade, 0% contained. Yeah, the Eden fire. We reported this earlier today. They had 2 people who were reported have passed, and now we have 5 people who have killed. 100 structures destroyed, 10,600 plus acres, 0% containment, 70,000 people evacuated. We got 850 acres burned here, 0% contained, mandatory evacuations, and the list just continues. Let's see what else. Look, they're evacuating the horses and trying to find them homes. This is just unbelievable what we're seeing here. This is historic. We heard one newscaster say that this was apocalyptic, that they've never seen anything like this. This may be the biggest fire in our country's history, if not the world's history. So it's something that is important that we're tuning into, and we're sharing this information with you live, and we're trying to bring you as much information from different sources as possible so that you can get a perspective from all angles and hear narratives from all news sources. We're trying to bring you an unbiased view here.
That's correct. Brian apparently has shot some amazing video as
So
well.
please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. This is going to really help.
Yes, I am. Good evening.
Talk to us about your night, what you've seen.
Let's hear what this guy has to say.
Quite a night. So I was looking at an app, and I saw that the fire had just begun. So I drove to my house, which is adjacent to Runyon Canyon, up Curson Canyon. And lo and behold, the entire ridge was engulfed in flames. And it was almost, I would say, pure pandemonium up there. There were some very suspicious people walking
What
around.
are those flying around up there? Are those helicopters?
And, you know, I got in and grabbed a couple things at my house and secured the external premises, and then was really forced to go back down the hill. And so I have to say first thank you to the first responders. This is the first fire that I've seen in the last 48 hours.
Yeah, look at that helicopter dropping those water beads.
Measurable change by each drop
That's really
from
helping a
the
lot.
helicopters. They were really fighting this fire vigorously and with a lot of attention to detail. You know, a couple of times they missed on their drops and they came back furiously, you know, 3 to 4 minutes later, and I think they saved the entire canyon. So one has to say thank you to these individuals, the folks in the air, the folks on the ground, the firemen, the cops, and it was not an easy environment to deal with. A lot of people were trying to get up the hill, and it was rather crazy down on Hollywood Boulevard.
Yeah, I mean.
And we've seen video of Hollywood Boulevard and how crazy it is out there. Let's check in on one of the other feeds, see what's going on out there.
This smoke is traveling faster as well. It appears to be blowing north-northwest for now, but it's moving erratically. We can feel the difference in the wind conditions up here in News Chopper 4, and I want to zoom out and just give you a wider shot here, show you
So
the
what
lay
it
of the
says
land.
here, it
This
looks like it says
scope of destruction.
LA City Fire, Palisades fire started in a backyard. In a backyard. And look what this has caused. The amount of damage, millions, if not $1 billion or so dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars in damage.
A little bit from that area, but there's no telling with these
This
winds
is a great
still gusting
view
so
right here.
powerfully.
I'm really liking
what
this.
might happen? The embers here are doing what they were still doing over at the Sunset Fire, even after it looked like it was knocked down. They are just flying through the air.
Look how
flying
densely populated Los Angeles is,
So
and
this
how
is
close
still
they are
spreading
to
at a dangerous
these fires.
and concerning rate.
It's
And of
really
course, the
concerning.
Palisades fire
Very
here,
concerning.
Julia, is the largest of the fires burning here in our viewing area. When you take a look at what the fire looks like now and the conditions and butt those up against what we had yesterday, obviously there are some stark differences.
Absolutely. You know, what we're up against right now is nothing like yesterday. Right now, we've got water-dropping helicopters that can fly. News Chopper 4 can fly. Yesterday, we were all grounded.
Everybody was
because
grounded,
of
that's
these
right.
historic
Nobody could do
hurricane
anything
force
from the air.
Winds. But the
Until
issue
earlier
is
this evening,
this
really.
got started already, and once it
I'd say
starts,
around
it
2
is
o'clock
that
when we were
much
first
harder
streaming, they
to
weren't
stop. So the
weren't
area that
up
I'm zoomed
doing
in
that.
right now, because
So
this
they've
probably
come a
all
long
looks
ways in just a
the
few
same
hours.
to you on the ground, but this is Topanga Canyon Boulevard, and these are well-trafficked roads.
You know, I don't mean
Not
to
tonight.
interrupt here, but where is Topanga Canyon Boulevard? We're looking at this and all we see are flames. So I guess I'm a little confused by the picture I'm
There
seeing.
you go. There you go.
There you
The
go.
overlay.
Maybe that'll help us. Oh, there you go. We see it now. Julia, from your perspective, is it possible to tell which direction this fire is burning? You said to the east?
We heard from David the eastern flank is going to be the part of this fire that's most dangerous. That's probably going to be the focus of the firefight, but it looks to me like this is actually burning north-northwest. That's where it looks like the smoke is traveling very quickly right now.
All right, Julia Deng, live there for us with an upside look, or topside look, I should say, from the Palisades fire. We want to go ahead.
It looks like
that's right, Michael. So after what we've seen over the past 24 hours,
let's see what we got
with
here.
the
Conan.
calamity that was the Pacific Palisades,
Conan
and,
Nolan.
and in Altadena, frankly, we needed a win, and I think we got one here
Got a
with
little
this fire
win
in the
tonight,
Hollywood
yep.
Hills.
Got a little win.
Fraction of the size of what we've seen elsewhere. 60 to 100 acres, but there was a tremendous amount of
I think
potential
it's about
for the loss of property.
what, 9 o'clock, 10
if
o'clock
this
there?
got out of hand.
9 o'clock?
There's been an aerial attack. You'll see pictures of what it looked like when we arrived. This wing of the fire, this flank of the fire, down to Runyon Canyon. There's all sorts of structure protection. We see water and power trucks here to my left. as well as a few engine companies. But they're able to get at it, as we pointed out before, because they could fly, unlike last night, unlike this morning. Specifically, the Quick Reaction Force helicopters, the QRFs, that is Chinook 47 helitankers, 3,000 gallons, twin rotors, very stable. They were able to slam their water drops against this active fire that was making its way through Runyon Canyon, down towards homes, and possibly potentially up towards where we're standing. There was structure protection for some of the Hollywood Fire, LA Fire units. Hollywood, I believe, Station 30 was up here, 35, and it's worked. Now, it's not over. We know that even just a little bit of orange on the hillside is the potential for a flare-up and potential reignition.
Hey, they've done an amazing job.
Based on the amount of oxygen it gets from the wind.
Praise
and if
goes
there
out
is an
to
uptick in the velocity of the wind.
the
But
fire
right
personnel
now,
and
it's
all the
looking really
help
good.
in the Hollywood Hills.
Everybody's breathing a
They've
sigh
done
of
an
relief.
amazing job, and
only,
they have saved
we had this
a lot
kind
of homes.
Fighting chance yesterday elsewhere in the city. We didn't. We saw what happened. But again, this appears to be a win.
The gentleman from earlier, hey,
one that was badly
you may be sleeping in your bed tonight.
Conan, sadly,
I
not
hope you
far
do.
from your location in Studio City.
I know I
we're
will
getting
be.
reports of another fire, a house fire there with a lot of vegetation. And Julia Dang is on her way to that right now. We'll have more information in just a minute. But from where you are, what are those strike crews doing this evening? What's their main mission?
The strike.
Well, the strike crews, there's one.
Hit them
to
fires,
my
hit them big
right.
fires.
There's one just around the corner over here. They're just watching, frankly, Colleen. We talked to them.
Well, I was
They're
wrong.
here
They're just watching.
In case. The hope was they wouldn't be needed. It doesn't look like they will be. They will still be here for hours longer.
So they're the
because
backup of the
worry
backup
was
just
that
in case.
the wind velocity would shift and bring it downhill and then up this way. Now, I could point to. I think I have a light that can illuminate. This is some of the defensible space, and I asked one whether this was planned. There's not a lot of vegetation here, and that's a good thing because what do you need? You need fuel in order for this to burn. They sort of rob this area of fuel, and that gives them, again, a fighting chance if in case that fire did somehow make its way down the canyon and then come up this way, depending on the direction of the wind. But the wind has been blowing away from us. That's been very helpful to them. And again, the wind is so light, as has been pointed out, it allowed for there to be an attack by airships, and they've been very effective. And so that's been the margin of victory so far.
Conan, you talk about the defensible space. You also talked about the water traps that have worked in the area. Robert Kovacic, who is very familiar with that area, said that this is the only way to fight the fire, and you wish we'd gotten this type of break yesterday. So again, from your vantage point, from what you're seeing, would you call this not necessarily
Sounds
a
like there's some
knockdown
hope.
in a sense, but at least a handle on this with firefighters?
And that's what we need right now. We need a little bit of hope.
I would say a handle, but I'll leave that up for the LAFD to put a term to what we're seeing here. But based on what we have seen when we first arrived, the potential for this, the wind velocity, and to your point,
Ladies and gentlemen, this is historic what we're witnessing
fight fire
here.
from the sky yesterday. I think that
Again, we've not seen fires this large in our history.
Reporting live for us tonight, Conan, we talked about this other
And this may be
fire
the
that's
largest
burning
fire
not
that
far
we've
from
ever
you
seen in
Studio
U.S.
City.
history.
This
Ooh, look
is
at this
what
one.
it looks
Wow.
like. Our Julia Dang has just
And,
arrived
oh
from
man,
the Palisades over the sea.
some
Julia,
members
where
made
is
it to
this? What do
Studio
we have
City,
here, other than-
which is where all the
Colleen, we
movie
are
studios
just
are at.
getting situated. I can tell you this is happening on Sunswept Drive and Vanetta Place in
If you've
Studio
ever been
City.
to Hollywood,
I
you've
hear
probably
our
been to
desk
Universal Studios, and that's where this is located.
new information confirmed, but just look at this picture. This is an active firefight. This structure is fully consumed. Looks to me like this is residential. Colleen, I'm going to toss it back to you for now. Just figure out what we know, what we have confirmed as we get situated here. But raging house fire. We are in Studio City now.
Well, Michael, as I look at that, it almost looks like there are two houses on fire here. As you can see, there's some tall trees around here. What did she say? This is on Sunswept Drive?
And Veneta, from what I understand. This obviously a huge structure fire in the Studio City area. And again, it's Colleen, to your point, I've seen big homes.
So again, we're looking at a fire in Studio City.
Perhaps.
And this is in the area where Universal Studios is located, and a lot of the other movie studios are in this area. So this wasn't part of the fires from earlier. Just an hour ago, this wasn't on fire. So it may have been that one of the embers from the Hollywood Hills have traveled over to Studio City and created this fire. And again, we're getting reports that the fire was, the original fire in Palisades was created in somebody's backyard. So all of this has been started from a backyard fire.
Look like they're traveling up that hill. So as we see these flames shoot out ahead of where the actual fire is taking place, it actually helps to preheat the fuel out ahead of that. And then you look well past those homes, looks like there's another row of homes behind that. So this is a big concern because it's looking like it's in a residential area right now. But in terms of the winds, it's fairly light, relatively speaking to what we've been seeing. But the humidity is dropping. It looks like a really tough situation in terms of the firefight because of the structure of the homes, and some of those roads look
so
fairly
low
narrow as
humidity
well.
is not a good thing for
I'm
the
looking
fires.
at this. I'm a little familiar with the area. I'm trying to figure out if it's north or south of Ventura Boulevard here. It almost appears to be south of the boulevard as you go up the hill here. But what you can't help but notice is that there is a lot of vegetation around there. And, you know, the real job for firefighters right now is to keep these embers.
If anybody's ever hiked in that area, it's rocky and
keep these embers
there
from
is a lot of
spreading to other
vegetation.
houses and into the surrounding brush.
That's right. I mean, if you're looking at the direction of the winds are actually picking up some of those flames right now and carrying them over into some of those treetops. And like we've been seeing with all of our fires the past night, is that the embers don't have to travel far
No, not at all.
set something else ablaze. So
and they travel
it's really concerning
very
because,
far.
you know,
they
initially
can travel
the fires
up to
that
3
we were
miles.
watching, they started out in relatively remote locations,
so
and then because of the winds, they
and these
swept
embers
down
are
into
large.
areas that
Some
were
of the
widely
embers that we were
populated.
seeing
And we're
earlier
starting to see that
was,
right now, even with this
big.
fire that's breaking out in Studio City with multiple homes on
We're looking
fire.
at a
and even
diameter
behind
about,
those
you know,
homes,
good 6,
the fire
8
looks
inch
like it's
diameter
raging uphill, and it looks like there's another row of homes behind that.
I point this out to you and Michael and our viewers here. Look at the wood, I don't know what it is. It's a staircase or a trellis or something like that, just off top side of your screen there.
Right.
This is a 4-story home.
You can see some people over there on the other side of the fence
it just appears to be gone.
Yeah, Colleen, this is, if I'm getting my
Maybe
bearings
not wood, I'm looking at it. Maybe
correct
it's
here,
metal.
but this is, in fact, as I try to map it here, this is Sunswept and Veneta. Veneta. And if I'm looking at this correctly, and I don't want to misspeak here, but I believe it's butted right up behind Fryman Canyon in Studio City. So obviously we talk about, you know, once again, Melissa, a canyon, vegetation, dry vegetation at that, and low humidity levels.
You know what's so interesting is that we've got the Sunset Fire, and we have that evacuation perimeter, which is basically from the 101 down to Hollywood Boulevard and then up past portions of Laurel Canyon and Mulholland Drive. And then on the other side of Laurel Canyon, you're moving into the valley with that fire breaking out there. So we are tracking the winds. It's light, but the flames are starting to get pushed uphill because of all of that vegetation.
It's so much fuel there, whether it's coming from the house, vegetation around there. Julia Dang is back with us right now. Julia, you know, we talk about Fryman Canyon. Michael looked that up on the map here. That's a lot like Runyon Canyon in that it's, you know, sort of a wilderness area where a lot of people like to hike. It's very natural, a lot of vegetation.
That's exactly right, and it is a recipe for this kind of disaster. What you're looking at here, not just a house fire, but multiple homes now on fire. This is what we were afraid of when we saw that fire in the Hollywood Hills, right? We were looking at how close it was burning to homes along Ronald Drive. This is what we were terrified could happen, and it looks to me like this house is about to collapse. This four-story house at the center of this firefight.
Four-story house in Studio City. I can imagine this has got to be over $1 million home.
If anybody was home when this started, I don't see any cars.
At the very bare minimum,
just firefighters.
You know the prices that Los Angeles has.
Now collapsing.
Oh wow! Look at it. Collapsing live
from this house on Sunswept Drive at
it's
Vanetta
collapsing
Place.
in front of us live, people.
In Studio City, just behind Fryman Canyon. This is
unbelievable.
Absolutely horrific.
We're actually watching a house
what is the adjacent
fall apart right now, completely destroyed by the flames. It was just standing 2 minutes ago. You can scroll back on the live feed and you'll see this home standing just a couple minutes ago, and it looks like another portion of it's about to collapse. This was a 4-story home that is collapsing in front of our eyes. This is unbelievable what we're watching. This is historic what we're watching right now. Please, if you're watching and you can, please like this feed and share this if you can, so that we can push this out to more viewers. This is unbelievable what we're seeing here.
Drive. If they don't get this under control quickly,
you can see people down there with their flashlights. The neighbors, it looks like they're probably trying to, do whatever they can to prevent that fire from coming towards that next house. That house is completely engulfed. If you're just tuning in, we're seeing a house in Studio City just collapse. You can go back on our feed just a couple of minutes. It's collapsing in front of our eyes right now.
It is
emotional.
This is very emotional.
It's very difficult still to distinguish if this is actually one property or two.
This was a 4-story home that just a moment ago we were able to see, and now it has collapsed. It's been completely engulfed by flames, and the neighbors are trying to prevent theirs from being next. These are embers that have probably come from the Hollywood Hills that were burning earlier, out of control earlier. They seem to have gotten a handle on the Hollywood Hills situation, but these embers travel long distances, and Studio City's not that far away. So it's not surprising that one of these homes has been caught on fire. These embers are just floating everywhere right now, all throughout Los Angeles.
There is another street behind Sunswept
and you can see another street. Oh wow!
On here. This is behind Sunswept Drive.
There's a whole other area right behind it, up to the right up here. You can see it burning right over there.
Right behind this
in between Sunswept Drive and Vanetta. You can see another fire burning over here in between Sunset Drive and Vanetta. Look right up there at the top right of your screen. Unbelievable what we're witnessing right here. Unbelievable.
A home development of the Donias, I believe. I don't remember the names of the streets except for one up there, Doña Vida, on that particular side. But I mean, think about the brush in Fryman Canyon here and what could happen if that takes off.
Yeah. Well, lucky we have fire crews here on the ground. Julia,
that's a great point. I mean, just think, this is created from another ember, from another fire miles away.
Okay.
Let's hope that this doesn't spread and do the same thing and keep spreading. But this is not a good area for this to be happening in. This is what we were worried about earlier in the evening, that it was going to head west towards some of the more populated and more densely populated areas. Not that there aren't any densely populated areas. They're all densely populated.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Michael and Melissa and Julia, isn't this sort of the general area where they had a mudslide and a couple of homes came down the hill within the past year or so, maybe 2 years tops? Do you remember that at all, Melissa?
Yeah, you know, we had so many huge rainstorms. It was either our December rainstorm or it was February and March when we were dealing with horrific rain across that region. But as Julia pulled out a little bit, even though we're watching this home unfortunately collapse,
This home
it looks
is
like
collapsing
on the other side of the hill,
in front of
there were
us,
some
and
other spots of fire. Do you
there's
see
other
that?
houses.
Just on the other side of Sunswept Drive.
That, yeah.
Oh, wow. Yes.
I just
saw
went
that
hiking
too.
recently in Fryman Canyon,
And that's what I was pointing out a
thinking to
little while
myself as I
ago.
was traveling through the trails, a lot of the trees, a lot of the brush really overgrown and really dry. So there's a lot of fuel for this fire to work with, unfortunately, as we watch really dry conditions, not only on the ground, but because of the Santa Ana winds drying out the atmosphere as well.
It makes you wonder
We'll
if
step
this
away
was
for one
actually
moment.
the initial ignition point, or if this is perhaps a casualty of something that was burning earlier in the area. I mean, you see flames off to the left, flames that aren't as aggressive yet. What came first, the chicken or the egg here?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right about that. Julia, are you still with us? Can you hear me?
Gotcha, Colleen. Staying with you. We don't know where this fire started, if this property or properties were a casualty of something nearby, but I can tell you this dry brush, this fuel that Melissa was just talking about, this is burning.
Oh, yeah,
and we don't see this being attacked by firefighters on the ground or in the air just yet. So this is going to continue exploding. Look at this. The trunk of this tree now up in flames.
How unusual is it to see choppers dropping water on a residential area with homes like that? I mean, we see it so often with brush, but I don't recall it being the norm when you talk about a house fire in any kind of neighborhood.
I think at this point, with one house already collapsing and all of these homes packed in so tightly here with brush surrounding these properties, I don't know if they have any choice, especially with the ground attack, unable to get this under control. I think they have to go in with helicopters at this point because this is burning uphill, because there is additional brush and so many more homes.
Yeah, this is crazy. If you look up to the left up here, you can see where they're staging some of the fire trucks, and they're trying to prevent it from spreading over to this. Yep, we're zooming in on it now.
North of Sunswept Drive. Looks to me like residents have
Tuning in, we're
evacuated.
watching live.
And just as we mentioned, I believe with Robert Kovacic, with that fire, Sunset Fire burning in the Hollywood Hills, everything is so tightly packed in.
Yes,
and
very dense.
I mean, and you add that to the fact that there are narrow roads up in that area.
So yeah, that's one of the biggest problems that the firefighters are having. These roads are very narrow. It's very dense. It's tightly compacted in there. There's a lot of brush, a lot of shrubbery that hasn't been cleaned up. So it's very easy to get these embers to. They've got fuel. They've got fuel to start this fire, and that's what's happening around all around Los Angeles. And this is part of the ineptitudeness of the leadership in Los Angeles. The mayor is currently on vacation. She's nowhere in sight. The governor met up with the president earlier today, and he received some more money from the president, the outgoing president. And, you know, it doesn't seem like they are helping Los Angeles to be prepared for this type of situation. Now, I'm not sure how many people could be prepared for such an apocalyptic type of situation, but if they were, the winds didn't help yesterday. There was so much smoke that, and the winds were so heavy that there was no way that they could get helicopters up to get air support. So these fires kind of got out of control yesterday. And this is the result. And again, they reported earlier that these fires started in Palisades in somebody's backyard. The fire originated in a backyard, and this is the result of the fire thus far. We are seeing fires breaking out in Hollywood. We are now seeing fires breaking out in Studio City. So we're looking at our 5th or 6th areas in the Los Angeles area that have come under fire. I'm not sure how much more resources these fire departments will have available to them. We heard some reports that some of the fuel reserve, the water reserves that they have already been depleted, and they have no way of refilling these reserve tanks. So they're having, a lot of these firefighters are having to go 20, 30 miles away from the fire to get water and then come back and try to fight the fires. So we're looking at low water pressure. It's just unbelievable what we're seeing right now. This is just
the larger fire is the larger fire the result of what we're looking at
yeah.
here. So
unbelievable.
I should say the
if you're watching and you're in the comments and you're in the chat room, leave a comment.
Sorry, Colleen, go ahead.
No, I was just
Join
going
us
to
in the
say,
chat room.
you've been,
Let us know your thoughts on
you've
the
been
fire.
overdosed for what,
If you have any
10
family
minutes
members out in the
tops?
Los
Did you
Angeles
see how
area that you're
quickly this
concerned
has
about,
moved
let
and
us
how the
know.
smoke
We'd
has
love to.
changed
We'd love to
from,
hear. If you haven't already
well,
done
the
so,
smoke
please
hasn't
take a
changed at
moment
all.
to
There's a
like
little
and
bit of white
subscribe to our
smoke out
channel.
there, but mostly
We're
black
trying to bring
smoke. It was all
unbiased
when you pulled over
news
the scene.
on a regular basis to you guys.
And the house that collapsed, it's still burning. They still cannot put out those flames. In just under 15 minutes, we saw what started with one structure on fire turn into 2, possibly 3. And as I'm speaking, the entire left side of my screen is now obscured by smoke. But we have seen this traveling before our eyes up to the north, and these embers, these hot spots, are now threatening what looks like the backyard of a house on this street parallel to Sunswept Drive up to the north. So they're stationed up here. LAFD is stationed up here trying to protect these structures. It could be a long night here in Studio City.
It's definitely going to be a long night in Studio City because this is just unbelievable. They've got to get a handle on at least one area to prevent this from spreading, but that's exactly what we're seeing, ladies and gentlemen. The spread of fire that started in the backyard in somebody's home. Again, this fire that we are seeing throughout Los Angeles has started in the backyard of a home in Palisades, and it has spread to Eaton, and it has spread to Hollywood, and now it has spread to Studio City. So we're looking at our 4th, 5th, 6th area of Los Angeles that it has spread to. I'm not sure how much more the fire departments can handle, how much more resources they have available to them. I would imagine that they're going to have to declare a state of emergency at some point and bring in the National Guard and see if they can help. Maybe the National Guard can help with their fire rescue teams and their resources. I'm sure that there are going to be other fire departments coming in from other states like Nevada and Arizona. So let's just keep everybody in our thoughts and prayers tonight, and pray that these people get the help that they need and the resources that they're lacking to get this taken care of. So let's check back in and see what's going on here in Studio City.
These homes are steps away from each other. As you were asking me that, one of the firefighters on the ground started shining his flashlight on this house to the right of the one that collapsed. You can see his ladder right now going up the side of it. It looks like they might be soaking some of these adjacent structures to protect them. I don't know how much more they can do with all of this brush. It's a little too late to start clearing that brush, but I was zoomed in tight, Colleen, on these firefighters running that hose up this staircase because...
Okay, you can see them right there at the top, right there where the spotlight is, right at the edge of that smoke right there.
I mean, just
you can't see my cursor,
this
but
4-story home collapsed moments ago live on air.
We were watching it live on air as well, broadcasting it live here.
Those wooden stairs is the best idea right now, but clearly they feel this is how they
Wow,
have to
you can
up
see
their
them on the
fight.
stairs right
They're
there.
trying to get aggressive on all sides. You can see this stream of water from down below. This is to the south of the property or properties. We're still trying to confirm if
Is
this
that
was
like a foam?
two structures on
This
one
white
property or two
stuff that
adjacent
I'm seeing
homes.
here?
That's how quickly
If anybody
this
knows what
broke
that
out and how
is,
quickly
let
that
me know in the
first
comments
structure
or in the chat.
collapsed. But Colleen, to your question,
So what we're
how
looking at
close are
here,
the other
ladies and
homes?
gentlemen, is a
It looks
fire
like there
in
might be
Studio
hotspots
City,
already traveling into
which
the
is
backyard of
created
this
from
road to
another
the
fire
north of
that was
Sunswept Drive.
going out of control in Hollywood, in the Hollywood Hills a little bit earlier. They seem to have gotten that one a little bit under control, but the embers from that fire have traveled into Studio City and have already taken out a 4-story home that we've seen live here on our channel. And now the firefighters are trying to protect the homes that are directly around it and the block right behind it. So you can see that they're staged up right behind there.
My business is about a couple of blocks from here on Ventura, and my mom lives one block next to Whitsett, and they're the ones that made me aware of the fire. So I went over, and they evacuated. The fire started about maybe 20 minutes ago, 25 minutes ago, and already within 5 minutes, there was a helicopter there with water, which is pretty.
So did you hear what this gentleman just said? This fire started about 25 to 30 minutes ago. We've been watching it ever since it started. We were actually watching the Hollywood feed when they brought us over here to Studio City so that we can see this fire that had started, and it was a 4-story home. We were watching it begin to burn out of control, and then it collapsed. And now the fire department is out there trying to preserve what they can around the area. This is just absolutely unbelievable. And this is just one area, ladies and gentlemen. This is just one area that we're seeing. This is Studio City. This isn't Palisades. This isn't Eaton, where the 5 people have passed. This is Studio City, not far from the Hollywood Hills. And this is a result of the Hollywood Hills fire that was burning out of control a little bit earlier.
The winds aren't that bad. Actually, it's barely breezy.
Is it closer to Coldwater Canyon, or is it sort of situated
What's going on,
between the
JD, Jimmy? What's happening, my buddy?
It's between the two.
Okay.
I see ya.
A lot of people who drive over Coldwater Canyon are familiar with. If you look up on the
So if you're just tuning in, let me fill you in on what's going on here. We have been watching the fire spread. We were watching I'd say about 45 minutes ago, we were in the Hollywood area, in the Hollywood Hills, and they were watching we were watching the fires there, and they were out of control there for a while. And the fire department got them up and running and under control, let's say, and that's a beautiful thing. But some of the embers from that fire have traveled out to Studio City. And if anybody's ever been in Los Angeles, Studio City is the area where a lot of the movie studios are located, including Universal Studios. And this one ember has traveled all the way over to Studio City and ignited this 4-story home. We watched this 4-story home collapse live here on our channel. And that's where we're at right now. The fire department is in the area, and they're trying to get this under control before it starts to spread to the homes around it and the block around it. And I'm not sure how successful they can be because it's just out of control. Unbelievable situation that we're seeing here. Unbelievable situation. Some people have reported that this is apocalyptic. This is the largest fire in U.S. history. This may be the largest fire in world history. This is definitely something to keep your eyes on and to tune in and pay attention to. Again, if you're not prepared, people, no matter what situation you're in, I'm in Ohio right now, and we've got snowstorms, and it's really cold out, and people can get trapped in their cars, and they can have their own situation. So Mother Nature is unforgiving, and we need to be prepared. at all costs. So everybody needs to have a bug out bag prepared. Everybody needs to have blankets in their cars. They need to have candles. They need to have food. You need to be prepared. We live in a time where shit is happening everywhere, and you don't know what's going to come your way. We've been fortunate here in the Ohio area. We have a good governor. We have a good, we live in a good area. And we're not in the Springfield area, so we don't have to worry about people eating our cats or anything like that. So, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be prepared. I know my boy out here, Jimmy, who's in the chats. He's prepared. Him and his wife have decided to take up arms and prepare themselves, just in case. You never know.
How is she? How is the rest of your family?
So again, we're the only deaths that we know of from all the fires that we're looking at 5 or 6 major fires that are in the Los Angeles area. We had 2 deaths that were reported earlier this evening, around 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Los Angeles time. And it was later reported in the evening that 5 people have passed away. 5 people have passed away, and let's just pray for the families of those who have passed, and let's pray for the families of people who have lost their homes. And in the comments, we've got Jimmy asking, could this be a terrorist attack? No, this is not a terrorist attack. This fire was started in Palisades in somebody's backyard. This is the result of a fire that started in somebody's backyard in Palisades. That was reported a little bit earlier this evening, that this fire was reported to have begun its roots in Palisades in somebody's backyard. And now here we are. This is just the result of inept leadership within Los Angeles and California. Other than that, the fire department is doing the best that they can. But, the leadership, the mayor is currently on vacation. She's not even in the area. I think she's in, I don't know where she's at. I think she's in another country. And Gavin Newsom, he hasn't really said much. He met with the president earlier today, who was in town to see his grandson or great-grandson who was born this afternoon. So he was here for that, and he got a flyby of the fire. But other than that, again, they just haven't set the fire department up, the county up with the necessary resources to be able to fight a fire of this magnitude. And this is the result of it.
We appreciate you giving us a call and giving us your input and insight. And please.
I'm glad it's not a terrorist attack. I'm glad that it isn't. But, if I were a terrorist, I would be looking at this saying, hey, this is a wonderful opportunity for us to go somewhere else and create some chaos. That's just something we don't need right now. So let's just keep in our thoughts and prayers that this is just a human accident, a tragedy, and let's just pray for all the families that are involved and having to suffer from this. Let's tune back in and hear what they have to say.
I see Melissa McGee is standing by right now as we continue to look at this picture from
Their
News
quality
Chopper
is
4.
horrible
Give us an
right
idea
now,
of the winds
and I'm
out
seeing
there.
many reporters out there with masks on and gas masks on. So the air quality in Los Angeles is bad to begin with. As we know, it's a lot of fog, a lot of pollutants in the air, a lot of pollution in the air. So as beautiful as Los Angeles is, the air quality has never been good. This is not helping at all. Absolutely not helping at all. Good question. Good question. Appreciate that.
If you continue to go further down Whitsett and then travel over to the west, you're close to the Sportsman Lodge area, where a lot of people are familiar with that. That's right off of Coldwater Canyon as well. So the winds are light, but it's dry, and it's moving into an area where there are a lot of homes. And like we've been seeing,
looks like we're going on
it's going
3
to be hard
hours
for evacuation in the sense that we're
streaming.
doing a very narrow
I'll probably
road.
cut it
So
off here
folks
around
trying
1
to get
o'clock or
out
so.
as firefighters are trying to come up
we'll
and battle the blaze there. And
tap
on
back
top of
in
that,
the
you got
morning
hot
and
spots that are moving
jump
in
on
around
live
that
and see
fire.
what's happening. But for right now, we're
Melissa,
just going to
Michael,
keep
I just
on
found the
watching
information I was looking
listening
for.
and see
We
what's
got
happening.
an alert from the LAFD
What's the alert?
regarding the fire burning near Laurel Canyon. And it says, and I'm quoting here, Laurel Canyon, Mulholland, Coldwater, Ventura Boulevard, those nearby need to be ready to evacuate, just in case there's a turn for the worse here.
And as we spoke to the doc not too long ago, he's within the vicinity, and he is heated. Again, this warning, he and his family are out, and they have moved to a safer place. And again, we'll just continue to see what
That's your
happens,
best bet,
as
ladies and
we
gentlemen. If
continue to
you're
fight
in
these
that
fires all
area,
around
you
Southern
need to heed
California.
these warnings,
check
and you
back in
need
with
to
News
leave.
Number 4 and Julia
There's nothing
Dang
in your home
for,
that is
a
more
look at the
important
progress
than
being made,
your
and,
yours and your family's
still
lives,
a lot of
your
fire out
pets as
there,
well.
Julia.
So make sure you get your pets, your family, and get in your car and go somewhere safe.
This first
Nothing is worth
structure that
this.
fell victim to this fire on Sunswept Drive. It collapsed on air, and now flames are just chewing through the roof. Firefighters have stationed themselves now on the adjacent property. You can see they're standing on the roof here and shooting water at these flames, but they still don't have this under control. And what's more, it looks like the adjacent structure is catching
Her
fire
audio
as
sounds
well.
horrible.
Look at this. We were worried about the stairs that firefighters were going up to try and fight this more
Wow.
aggressively,
Those stairs
but embers
are
have jumped over
gone.
to this neighboring
No,
home.
they're still there. They're still
We
there.
don't see any lights on. I don't think anybody is home.
Yeah, you can
but
see
for
them on
anybody
the
who
roof over
has
there.
not evacuated yet, right, we're talking about these narrow canyon roads, these narrow winding roads, and now to the north of Sunswept Drive, we have fire trucks
Oh no, there's
lining
another
these
fire over
streets,
there.
protecting
It
additional
looks like
homes
this
that
one
could be
house is on
threatened.
fire.
So that's going to make it even harder for residents who are
Or
trying
is
to
those-
get out.
okay,
and
that
then
may
earlier
just
we
be
showed
fire
you another
trucks.
hot spot, which in size is
Yeah, it
comparable
looks like those are fire
to what we
trucks,
see
just
burning here. The
reflecting their
difference
lights.
is that other hot spot to my left isn't threatening any homes just yet. We don't even see firefighters over there as they zoom out.
Oh yes, over there by Goodland Drive.
That's on the other hillside here. You might not be able to see it. But this firefight still very much underway, active, and we did get that same alert that Colleen just read live. That was as Dr. Ron was talking about being on alert and his daughter being
If
in
we have to
hysterics.
stay
They are warning people
another
here
hour,
about
we'll stay another
potential
hour.
evacuations. So at this point, this is just an evacuation warning.
What we're
But
seeing here
same
is
thing we saw earlier.
apocalyptic. We've never seen a fire this large in U.S. history, and some are saying that maybe this might be the biggest fire in world history. We've yet to see, but right now we are seeing something that is unprecedented, and is something that we need to keep our eyes on. We need to be paying attention to. We need to be sending prayers out to those all around the area, and
Slightly is a very good
continue to
The word
keep
slightly,
them in
that's
our
the
thoughts and
caveat
prayers.
there.
This is just
Slightly better
unbelievable.
than it did when you first rolled up, Julie.
Slightly better. We're seeing more smoke, less flames, but you got to take into consideration the direction of these flames. I think this house, this first structure, it's burning out. It's burning to the ground, but flames are now spreading to the right. So there is an entire structure here for it to chew through. And then next to that, another one just steps away. And look at how closely these homes are packed together. Look at how narrow these canyon roads are. This is a recipe for a disaster, and LAFD knows that. That's why they're attacking this so aggressively, dedicating so many resources to this. We've seen 2 or 3 water drops from overhead already, about a dozen fire trucks here. They've got this surrounded on all sides. Dr. Ron also was talking about neighbors who are soaking their home, trying to do anything proactive they can to protect their own properties.
Julia, are you
Well, that's a
any
good
of
question. In the Los Angeles area right now, the water pressure is so low that the fire hydrants can't get water out of they can't get water out of the fire hydrants because there's not enough pressure there. A lot of these homes don't have any water pressure, so they can't even use their own fire hoses, their own hoses on their homes to pump the water out. So what a lot of these firefighters are having to do, this has been reported, a lot of these firefighters have had to go 20 to 30 miles away to other areas where there's not any issues, get water from those areas, and then come back and try to fight those fires. They did have one of the spokespersons from the fire department talk about having some reservoirs. They were prepared. They had their reservoirs were filled up completely full. They are now empty. So that's part of the resources that we're talking about. The lack of resources and the lack of preparedness that the government, their own governor, Newsom, has not done for them. He hasn't provided them with the necessary funding so that they can have the necessary resources to be able to fight these kinds of fires. And this is just a fire that absolutely is unheard of and is going to be hard to fight on any level, regardless of how prepared you are. But this just goes to show if they would have been prepared and had the resources available to them to begin with, they would have been able to attack the fires in Palisades and get that under control. Had they had the opportunity to yesterday to do so, but again, they didn't have the opportunity because the weather didn't allow them to be able to get up with some air support and drop the water from the air, and that's what has really been helping put out the fires. So not as much from the ground, more so from the air, putting out the fires and containing them, where on the ground they can protect the areas in different
It looks
neighborhoods.
slightly
So
better than what we saw when we first pulled up.
not sure if that answers your question or not
that first structure
about
was fully engulfed.
how challenging it is to for firefighters to get water, but that's what they're dealing with right now.
That is still burning out of control. But if this spreads to the right, if this spreads, to
I've
the
been watching this for all day long, and it started last night. So I've heard all the explanations. And from the firefighters' viewpoints, the people on the ground's viewpoints, and
near the top
the government's
of this
viewpoints.
property, near the northern edge, it looks to me like things might be heating up here. So if embers jump,
So it looks like
from
Studio
that
City.
home,
we were
to the
now
left of
in
my
another
screen
fire.
over to the right-hand
So
side,
we spent a good
there's
2
a
hours
house
in
here,
Hollywood just
that's
watching
several
the fires
stories
there in
that could
Hollywood.
also go down. But
And now
firefighters
we're in
now
Studio
standing
City.
here
So
shooting water
we're
from
getting close
that
to the movie
property
theaters.
onto
We're
this
getting
first
close to
structure.
Universal
And looking
Studios.
at the number of
And the
engines
closer
on
we
this
get to
narrow
those
street,
areas,
you have to think
let
to
me get
yourself,
this.
if in fact residents there wanted to get out at this point,
Get them turned down for a second, and we'll pull up another feed. But like I'm saying, it's so condensed out there that there's not a lot that they can do. It's hard for the firefighters to be able to get in and out of there. The roads are really small. So it's challenging all the way around. Absolutely challenging all the way around. Let's see. So they're in a break. Everybody seems to be in a break. It's at the top of the hour, and that's when everybody seems to be at a break. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. He looks like he's having a good day, doesn't he? Looks like he's having a hell of a day.
It's true, but remember, as David mentioned,
he's still talking about the weather.
And they're dangerous to breathe. Here's the center of the low pressure tonight. So it is moving away from us. It's going to be a big weather producer over in Texas. You will not be able to fly into Dallas-Fort Worth starting tomorrow.
I don't think anybody's be flying out of Los
there.
Angeles right
this
now.
Big dome of high.
All right, so we'll get rid of him. We'll get rid of him for right now. We'll let him be happy over there by himself. Let's check back in over here. Looks like this is the only one that's actually talking right now, so we'll go with him.
question we had when we pulled up about 30 minutes ago.
Appreciate everybody tuning in
Structure. It could
and watching.
Be
If
could be a neighboring
you're not
property,
a subscriber, please take a moment
as
and subscribe to our channel.
There's something
Hit the
outside that appears
subscribe
to be
button.
flaring up.
Hit
I
that
think
notification
it's
bell
more
so
that
that you'll be
dry
notified
brush
anytime we're bringing you
Melissa was
any
just talking
new
about.
news, breaking
let me
news,
zoom
any new
out
topics,
here and
any
just
new
give you a
podcasts that we're
wider
bringing out,
shot
any new
of
shorts.
the
I'd like you to know
firefight
about
still
them.
underway.
And if you could hit that like button, that really helps out
looks better. This
pushing
looks
this
more
show out
hopeful
to
than
the
what we were
algorithm
seeing earlier. I'm
and
seeing
getting it out to other
far
viewers
less,
like
in the
yourselves
way of
so that we can
flames.
create a
Smoke
like-minded
seems to be lighting
community
up
of
as
people
well, but this whole
sharing
canyon now
news and
lit up. Look at all the fire apparatus there. I know it's probably hard to distinguish between
finding something else out there, a different platform other than the legacy media that we've been watching for decades.
Hotspots still are. What's still burning here? It's these orange patches within the dry brush. So look at this.
So it's definitely important. We'll probably stay here for another hour into the 1 o'clock hour
if you take a look at the trees, you can see the difference
because
in
this
movement
fire
between what we're
is
showing you
continuing
now
to
in Studio
spread.
City
It's just
versus
unbelievable.
what we showed you earlier this evening in the
Unbelievable. I appreciate you
where
watching. I
winds were
appreciate you
still
watching.
whipping.
I know some of you are at work. I appreciate you third shifters out there. And hopefully this gives you something to listen to, watch, and keep you awake and, not bored.
We know it's closer, we believe, according to Dr.
I'll be here
Ron,
for a while.
Coldwater Canyon. Can you give us
I got a couple little
quick shot
snacks
of
here.
that?
Got a couple chips.
I can. So Laurel Canyon is going to be just to the
Got
east
me
of
some
here.
Snickers.
We are northwest.
So I'm good to go.
Canyon. We've been calling this whole region the Canyon. This is northwest of Freeman Canyon proper. So I'm going to show you this whole area, this busy, tightly packed residential area now lit up with these emergency vehicles. We haven't seen a lot of people trying to get out, so it looks to me like residents may have
Yeah, hopefully these residents got out and took heed to the
that
warning.
evacuation alert, that warning did come through on everyone's cell phones earlier, letting them know about a potential evacuation order. The mandatory order has not come down just yet, and if firefighters here can get this under control, we may not see forced evacuations.
What is that dark area that we're seeing from the chopper there? Is that an area where power is out, or more of a brushy area?
I think it's
Not
more
sure
of a
if you can
brushy
hear me.
area. I don't know. I'm not on the ground, but from
All right, so
what I know
we
of the area,
appear to
it
have
seems
lost
to be a brushy
Julia's
area.
audio here at this point, but again, the firefight continues here on Sunswept and Veneta, and you asked the question, is that that sort of dark spot in her
I'm
shot?
kind of curious about that.
That is something that is related to a power outage, or is that just a patch of,
I see a couple of firefighters down there, right there where they're shining the light on the other side of the fence there. You can see them standing there as well with their light shining. They're flashing a light on them right now. And you can see them flashing back. That may just be neighbors back there trying to communicate with each other over the fence line. But that's got to be a scary situation. People doing their best to look at there's the fire breaking out right there. So it looks like some of that brush is starting to catch fire.
Things that folks got to worry about, but as
turn
Melissa
it
said,
up.
the saving grace, at least for firefighters here today, is this hotspot is close to the actual ignition point, as opposed to traveling 2 to 3, 4, or 5 miles away.
Yeah,
as
we
we've seen
need to
yesterday.
go ahead and get that
That is
fire
just
out right there on
amazing
the
as I look
fence.
at it. It's the corner of a curb there. Maybe it's a small brush.
It's just an
but
ember.
again, with all the water that's being thrown on these two places, you would think that everything would be so saturated it wouldn't ignite.
I hear her. I hear what she's saying. But I've seen pictures earlier. Some of the reporters were outside, and some of the embers were 6, 8 inches in diameter. So it's not alarming to me to see things getting caught on fire, even if they're saturated.
Water. I think the focus of this firefight is still going to be to the east, to the right of this first structure. You see where they're shining that flashlight. They're probably trying to figure out and strategize how they can ensure this fire does not spread to neighboring structures. If you look at the roof of this home to the right, it looks like that might be igniting. Yeah, that's going up in flames now. I can bet
We've got another house going up in flames.
Additional water
live.
directed here.
Here we go.
Possibly a water drop from helicopters still flying around.
Hopefully we can get some helicopters over here and get this under control.
On the left, the two structures that
We've already seen one structure, a 4-story home, which started similar to this one right here. Collapse, completely collapse. So this is worrisome right here.
That is good to know. It is 10 o'clock.
I don't know how that's
Wednesday
good to
night,
know.
And this is continuing coverage of the devastation that hit Southern California over the
It
past
is
couple
1
of days.
o'clock in the
We
morning.
started this journey
It is
11 o'clock yesterday. We've been on the air
Thursday
for 5
morning.
hours.
We're live.
That was with the Palisades fire.
Coming from
and
you
since then we
in
have seen
Akron,
multiple
Ohio,
fires
Cuyahoga
throughout
Falls,
different
Ohio.
parts of Southern California.
And we're
this
bringing you
latest
live
fire
coverage
here in
of
Studio
the
City on Sunswept and Veneta. What we believe
fires
to be
out
called
in Studio City, California. We started the evening off with Hollywood, California fires that were enraging and engulfing the Hollywood Hills. And now we're looking at a home in Studio City that
the fire in Altadena
was
called the Eaton
probably
Fire.
about an hour ago had caught on fire,
10,600
and
acres
we
burned
watched
there.
collapse
5 people
live
lost
here
their lives
on,
there. No containment to the
the
best of our
channel
knowledge on that one as well.
as
But
we're
a
viewing
success
these
story
different
this evening, and that would
broadcasts
be
coming
the
out of Los
Sunset Fire
Angeles.
that broke out at about 5:30, I believe, this evening.
Yeah, caught our eye via News Chopper.
And now we're seeing another
we
home
just
in
got
Studio
word that,
City
this is
whose
now in what they
roof
consider
is
mop-up mode. So obviously something to
starting
keep a
to
very
catch
close
on fire.
eye on. But
Let's
again,
just hope that they've gotten
now
this under
probably
control over
diverting
here.
much of their resources to.
This was an area that they weren't expecting to be hit. They were hoping wouldn't get hit, but again, the Hollywood Hills fires, the embers traveled and created this other fire.
Again, we are
You're
continue to
seeing
keep a very close eye on this fire here.
from
We believe
earlier
a
what it
four-story
looked like.
structure.
That is correct. LA County Fire, Michael, confirming it
That
was
was
a
a four-story
four-story home
structure.
that collapsed when we got on scene. This is not related to the Sunset Fire. This has nothing to do with the Hollywood Hills fire we covered earlier.
The only
today,
thing
but
to
now
do
in
with it
pop-up
would be,
mode,
probably be an
meaning
ember
this
from that
is
fire.
under control. There were no forced evacuations here. Hopefully, residents can come back in tomorrow. We're not hearing any reports of
So
injuries.
if you're just tuning in,
So
all
we
these
are going
fires
to pull
started
out of
from
this
one
shot, and we're
one
probably gonna head
fire
back east and
that
check out the
began
Altadena
in a
fire. The
person's
Eaton
backyard
fire,
in
still
Palisades,
burning out of control.
and this is the result of
All right, Julia
carelessness
Dang live
and
for us there at News
ineptness.
Chopper 4, as we, of course, will keep
Ineptitude-ness.
updated on this particular fire here. But we want to bring in Melissa McGee here
Not
right
on
now
the fire
because, again,
departments.
we talked about the
Not
winds
on
in
the
this
fire
particular area.
departments.
Right.
And,
On
you know,
local government,
they're
like the
obviously
mayor,
not as strong as they were last night.
currently on
and again,
vacation.
This is a saving grace here for those firefighters.
And
Yeah,
the
absolutely, Michael. In
governor,
the situation with the Sunswept
Gavin
fire,
Newsom.
and we know, and we've got confirmation that these
they
two are
didn't
not
help
related.
set up the
These
firemen
two
with
in
the
the sense that we've
resources
got
they
the
need,
Sunset
and
fire
this is
and
the
the
result
Sunset
of what
fire,
happens when
but they're not
fires
too
break
far
out,
away from each other, and the
and you don't
winds with
have
the
the
Sunswept fire,
resources
they are
available
close
to
Studio
you
City.
to fight them
They're
in a
moving
way
toward
that
the north
needs to
and
be
north and west. As we look
available
at relative
to you.
humidity across the region, relative humidity in the teens and the single digits. So even though the winds are not as strong as they were last night, in fact, we heard that gentleman say it's barely breezy
That's a purple
outside
dress there,
in
isn't
the
it?
valleys
Purple
right
rain.
now. The issue is that it's still very dry, so that's a concern. And where that
Purple
fire is burning with
rain.
the sun-swept fire, it's kind of a bit of a mouthful.
Don't laugh.
Where that fire is burning,
You know you
there's
like
a
it.
lot of vegetation, so that's going to be the issue. And like we were seeing some of the images, there are a lot of different hot spots, even though they're starting to get more of a handle on the fire there. There are a lot of different places that they need to watch very carefully because we're dealing with a lot of dry vegetation. And as we've been seeing, all of yesterday. It does not take a lot for these embers to get pushed and fly away from the initial ignition source. So we're watching that very
Some
closely.
reports say that they can fly as far as 3 miles. So it's not surprising that we're seeing fires break out all around the county.
So we're tracking this, and we also have other fires that were moving in across the areas in Eaton.
Let's see if anybody else has come back on the other feeds and see what they have to say. Coming back to this one here.
House is on fire. The house is on fire. Which house is yours? My house is the second house. The first house is the one right there, and the second house is the one that is burning right next to that one.
Literally grabbed our phones, the computer, and our dogs, and ran out.
She looks like she might be an actress.
I can just feel her heartache there. I'm so sorry. So yes, their home, it looks like it was that one that we were just showing. The other one that we saw collapse live on our air was that 4-story home. This is obviously new video that we got into our newsroom.
Absolutely heartbreaking.
Crews on the scene responding to these house fires in Studio City. We last look, the flames were nearly out, and LAFD has declared it a knockdown. This is live from Skyfox, just panning over, and you could see it was a black zone there, meaning you didn't see any of the flames as it relates to those structure fires. But then you see all these blackouts here. These are power outages, and I know we've heard from so many of you.
So all these blackouts are power outages due to the fires.
In the valley, whether you are in the Hollywood Hills, so widespread.
I'm sure transformers are blowing,
and as we were watching,
and it's affecting different areas.
Within the last hour, we saw power poles sparking.
Yeah, it looked like fireworks.
Suggested at the time meant that we would see blackouts in the area. So because
those power poles were catching fire, and it looked like a fireworks display with the lines catching fire, and it was amazing to see. But this is the result of that. We're seeing blackouts. Look at that!
And you look at this.
Wow, that is unbelievable. And that's looks like over the Studio City. Yep.
That's a whole lot of people that are with.
I don't think I need him really to tell us what's going on, but yeah, we're looking at Studio City, and that's where the 4-story home collapsed.
Where some of those power outages were happening. So
that's got to be another issue. If there's power outages and then it's blacked out, it's going to be very difficult for these firefighters to maneuver, to get around.
That's what I mean.
They have a mess on their hands.
Studio City
They have a
house
mess on their
fires again.
hands.
Those homes appear to be total losses. That for sure the 4-story home that collapsed on our air is, and then the couple just narrating for us as they watched their home go up in flames again. We're so sorry for all of those impacted. No matter what fire you're in, it's just absolutely devastating. One of the fires that we're watching, of course, the Eaton fire in Altadena. That one broke out just over 24 hours ago. Laura Diaz, she is live there, and this is about 10,600 plus acres.
Unbelievable.
And Laura, obviously active flames right behind you.
So my dad stopped paying for car insurance.
I'm
Wait
sorry.
till you see his clever
I
new
hope he
move.
doesn't get pulled over anytime soon.
80%. Walk with me. You can see the devastation. Off to the right looks to be a small station wagon. I can't even tell you what the make of the car is exactly.
Wow,
That's how
look at
destroyed
that.
it is. And then you can look off and see the structure of what used to be
Just
somebody's
nothing
home.
but soot.
The chimney still standing, and then the spot fire off to the right. And then also we can see that the brick fence is still intact. But it is so random what's occurred here that you'll have one house utterly destroyed, and then right next to it, one that is still standing. And that's, you know, the randomness, the capriciousness of these flames that are just so hard to determine. We've been watching as the engines have been coming up and down the streets. They've had to decide which houses they could take a hold of and try to save, and those which, quite frankly, it was too late. So as we look around, it looks like a battleground here. You see an engine going by right there on one of the main streets. That's Altadena Drive. But I really find it difficult to put into words just how barren it is here and how lacking in hope
It looks like a bomb exploded. It looks like a war zone. It really does. Everywhere they show pictures of, it just looks like a war zone.
Just destroyed right down to the dirt, down to the dust. And it really does hit you right in the heart to think about what this will mean to some family who will try to put their life back together once they're allowed back in to try to assess what the next steps are. Now, earlier this afternoon, I spoke to a woman. She had evacuated overnight. She was happy to come home and still find her home standing today. But
what a
lucky
woman.
A great deal of empathy for her neighbors who were not so fortunate. Let's listen.
Oh, man. I almost...
One of my friends, it's a couple with 2 young daughters, and their house was one of the first ones to go over on the corner of Altadena in New York, and just, you know, they're camping out at a Hilton. They've lost everything, and it's just so traumatic especially for young people to go through something like that. The loss and the grieving, I feel it.
You know, oftentimes people talk about Southern California. It's a huge area. People don't know their neighbors. As somebody who grew up here, I can tell you it's not true, that I think people really have a sense of community and trying to help those around them. And we've certainly sensed that here. When we were speaking to that woman just a little while ago, several hours ago, she talked about the fact that
in times like this, that people do come together. That human nature is that we do come together, and that's a beautiful thing. It just sucks that it takes tragedies for us to come together like this. I wish that we would come together and be supportive of others and helping of others in need in times when it's not disaster. There are obviously people who are in need, who are homeless, who are starving, who are without families, and that's important in itself. But we just don't seem to care or come together like we do when tragedy strikes. I hope this is a lesson that we can learn from, and that we can potentially come away from this as a stronger community ties, which will help change some of the government that has created this mess that they're in right now. And unfortunately, in California, I hate to say it, but not a lot of good policies have been passed for your state, and it just, I wish that this didn't have to happen, but hopefully the result of this is a stronger community, one that will come together to vote in politicians that serve the needs of the people, as opposed to the donors and those who support them monetarily, financially. That's what this world has come to. That's what politics has come to. That's what California has come to. That's why you've seen a mass exodus of people who have left California over the past few years. It's not because it's not a beautiful place to be. It's because of the policies that are out there that negatively affect the people who live there. You've seen people such as Joe Rogan and Elon Musk. They've all left. You've seen big businesses leaving, and this is just the result of a lack of caring for your own community by the people that have been voted in by this community. So it needs to be a wake-up call. I hate to turn this into that, taking a tragedy, but in times of tragedy, sometimes we open our eyes a little bit more where we were blinded before. And I think a lot of that has been going on in California over the past few years, past few decades. It's a wonderful place to visit, but it's not a very fun place to live, because your government just hasn't set you up with the necessary resources, the necessary equipment to make your communities the best that they can be. Looks like we're looking at a live view of San Francisco Bay right now. What a beautiful sight to see. And it's great to see that there's no fires going on out there. I'm hoping that maybe some of the the people in the north will send some help. A view of Catalina Islands off the coast of California. Beautiful place if you've ever been out there. Cool little boat ride out to the islands. Really relaxing, wonderful place to visit. Definitely need to check that out if you're ever in the area. Looks like we're going to be coming back from their commercial break. So, while we got a few seconds, make sure you like our channel if you haven't already liked this stream. We'd appreciate if you just take a moment to hit the like button, give us a thumbs up, and this will help push us out in the algorithm to other viewers like yourselves. And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe. We would appreciate it. All right, looks like we're back.
Interviewing somebody right now.
Gone. Pali High is mostly there. Pali Elementary is mostly gone.
Marquez
Elementary is mostly gone. Canyon Charter Elementary, which I was just at, is mostly there. So I'm just trying to update constituents. There's already so many heartbreaking stories of families and constituents who have lost their homes. Schools are closed tomorrow to give them some peace of mind, one way or the other. Obviously, this is not the peace of mind I had hoped to say, which is that an elementary school has burned, but better to dispel rumors and make sure that they have accurate information. And we're here also just making sure that folks in the community are evacuated, thanking our first responders, and not only thinking about schools tomorrow and then Friday, but also thinking about a school like Pali Elementary, contingency plans for students in the weeks and months to come.
Yeah, we appreciate you joining us to dispel some of those rumors, because this information, it's hard to get out, with so much going on and, crews in all these different places, it's hard to tell what has burned and what hasn't. You and I were talking before, it's a high bar to make a decision to close LAUSD schools. It affects so many thousands of families. Talk about that. I mean, what went into that decision that was made?
Yeah, so it's an incredibly high bar for me, and not only because students have missed too many days of schools in the last few years, but mostly just because we have a population in LA Unified where many families rely on us for childcare and for meals. But at the time we decided we wanted to make the school closure decision at a time where families had time to plan. And so around 4 o'clock when we were making that decision, we had 6 fires burning, including the Sunset Hollywood fire, which had just started up in the Hollywood Hills near Runyon Canyon. We had air quality. The Palisades is obviously incredibly hardly hit, and we have a few schools that, as we just discussed, are damaged beyond repair. But we also have hundreds of schools in the East Valley, on the east side, near the Altadena and Pasadena fires, where the air quality was really bad. And so we decided, at least for tomorrow, for Thursday, to make a closure decision, just to keep everyone safe, keep them off the roads, also for emergency vehicles and first responders to get to schools. And then we're reassessing on Friday. But today we only had a few schools closed in the Palisades, and then we had a few hundred closed on the east. It's on air quality, but we know that these are close calls. My bar is very high. I want kids in schools. I want families to have a place to go, but we also want people to be safe. And one thing, and folks should go to laschools.net for more information, but throughout LA Unified tomorrow, we have schools that will be open for food distribution. So for families who are in need of food or maybe emergency supplies, Red Cross shelters, they can go to our website, laschools.net, and we have schools open in every region that are providing food for families who rely on the school district for basic needs.
Which is so important for so many families who are a part of LAUSD. Last one, I want to get you out of the smoke. I know you don't have any goggles on, which is so helpful. What is it like when you're walking around these schools and you're seeing this destruction? These are places where children learn. These are places that are kind of pillars of our community. What is that like for you personally to tour the damaged area?
It's been devastating. I grew up just next door in Brentwood. I played soccer in the Palisades. This is my community. I was driving around with my district director, whose kids went to Pali Elementary, whose kids went to Pali High, and she lost her home. But the thing that's been inspiring, and I know we've been hearing about it, particularly in the Palisades, but throughout LA, is how people are rallying together to support their community, checking in on one another, making sure kids are okay, making sure there's continuity of learning. And, schools like Pali Elementary, our public schools are civic cathedrals, but what makes them special is what happens inside those schools and the relationships between kids and their teachers and families. So it's heartbreaking. I'm a kid of the Palisades. I went to Mort's Deli and Jacobo's and played soccer at Pali High. So we're heartbreaking, but seeing the resilience and how our students and our teachers are saying, we will rebuild, and we will be there together for folks who need places to shelter or places to eat or places to go to school is really inspiring, and I'm just grateful, and I'm proud to represent this resilient and amazing community of the Palisades.
Nick, thank you so much for joining us. Please get out of the smoke. Get some goggles on. It's so intense.
Stay safe as well, and I hope all our watchers are staying safe and also following those evacuation orders and making sure up-to-date information. We'll be making an announcement by 4 o'clock tomorrow for schools on Friday, so please stay tuned.
All right, perfect. Thanks. Nick, thank you so much. Stay safe. We really appreciate you. Oh, you just heard it. That was such a chance encounter. You know, we've been standing across from this elementary school for the last several hours. The physical outside of it, the facade is still intact. We didn't even know that that had been destroyed. That is a loss inside Pali Elementary that we are standing right in front of, because the walls are still standing on the outside. That's part of the issue with having no electricity, no lights, no cell service in this area. You really can only see what you're able to physically light up in front of you and what you're able to see from the glows of fires like this behind us. So, you know, we're able to see the outside of that building, but we're not able to see the destruction anywhere around it. We obviously got here in the dark, so I'm sure you're able to see it when you're standing here. We've been watching this church burn bit by bit. This is the Community United Methodist Church of the Pacific Palisades. When we got here, there was an actual structure here in the front. Gone. We've watched the beams collapse. We heard a wall collapse. Just utterly devastating, and these winds continue to just fly down south. They're all going south. It's all moving south now. Very strong. They've been moving those embers. For a little while, we had a big firefighter presence just south of where we're standing. I assume that was to kind of leapfrog and to get ahead of where these embers are flying. They've now moved on to something else, and this is obviously dying down. There's really not a lot left here to burn. This is just a total loss. Completely gutted this church. Just scenes of utter devastation. And also for these kids that are affected, with LAUSD schools, that is thousands and thousands of families that will not be going to school tomorrow, that will, not have that child care tomorrow. That's a very big announcement, and they really don't take that lightly. So that's, please stay up to date, keep up with us here at Fox 11. We'll bring you the latest when they make that announcement tomorrow at 4 o'clock about the next day of school. But no school tomorrow for LAUSD. Marlon, Alex.
Yeah. All right, and they've been saying that they are closing the schools in LAUSD for Thursday, January 9th. According to the district, though, students will continue to have digital access to academic resources. More information about that is available at lausd.org/learning-continues. All LAUSD schools closed on Thursday. That's the largest school district in the nation. Our coverage continues in a moment. Welcome back. I'm Austin.
Sorry about
Westfall.
that.
Fox 11 Los Angeles' coverage continues.
Arrived on the scene in Studio City where we saw the loss of 2 homes. Matthew, what can you tell us?
Well, Marla, firefighters have really been attacking this thing. We've seen firefighters on the ground. I counted probably at least 20 fire trucks just walking, hiking up here. The terrain is pretty intense.
Man, they got to walk and hike up there.
Still here, putting water on it really from all angles. There's several
That's got to be horrible.
Sprayed on top
having
of
to carry
house
hoses up.
The remaining homes next to it.
Walking
We
up
also
a
just saw
hill.
Helicopter come and make a drop.
These aren't
really an intense scene out here. You can see
small
probably up in the
hills either.
These bright flashlights. Firefighters are kind of looking out, looking for any hot spots. You can also see some hot spots, and that's kind of why we likely saw that drop. But really, I mean, after everything that we've seen the last few days, you can imagine how everyone's feeling. This is a very steep terrain with lots of vegetation, and with all these fires that we've been seeing recently, you know, people are very, very worried about any time they see any flames like this. So an intense situation. We understand that a couple of structures are lost, but firefighters still out here and attacking it from all angles and really making sure that this thing doesn't keep spreading. Understand we heard from a homeowner here that lost everything and very emotional, and just kind of imagine kind of what they're going through, just what all these other people have been going through. This is just the 3rd fire that I've been to today, hopping around different parts of the area, and just this is what we've been going through the last couple days, and it's pretty intense. Go ahead and send it back to you.
Matthew, my question to you is about that, your travels. You just came from over the hill, the Sunset Fire in Hollywood Hills. Talk to us about the gridlock. I imagine that it was difficult to get around.
Yeah, maneuvering from Hollywood to here was a mess. A lot of roads closed, police blocking roads. You can't go this way, you have to go that way. And then you finally think you're figuring it out, and then there's another road closed. And then once we got over here in the Studio City, Ventura Boulevard was all backed up. And then once you really got into this neighborhood, there was a hike to get over here because it's gridlock. People are kind of leaving, but also there's fire trucks blocking it, and we can't park, so you have to walk.
Yeah, not easy to get around, and part of the reason that they're really urging people to stay off the roads if they don't have to tonight.
What about cause? Did you hear anything about a cause?
We're not aware of a cause yet. We can see, we tried speaking with a resident nearby, and they didn't want to talk, but we don't know a cause yet. It doesn't seem like it would be related to the one in Hollywood, though. I mean, the way the wind's blowing, that wouldn't really make sense. But yeah, I mean, going back to that, the firefighters, you can just, the flashlights out here looking for any hot spots.
I don't see how any other way.
And we did see that helicopter make a drop probably about 5 minutes ago. So
unless people were starting fires now just to start fires.
As, this thing's still very hot and caused one home to collapse.
Yeah, and that was live on our air, in fact. Okay, well, we're glad that you made it safely. Matthew Seedorf on the ground for us in Studio City. Thank you so much.
From there, we go to Pacific Palisades, now considered the most destructive fire in the history of L.A. City. Fox 11's Ed Laskos
here we go. This is where it started.
Ed.
This is where it all started.
And we've actually moved over. We are in Malibu, just across the line, because it seems like the Palisades fire doing its dirty work now in Malibu. Those flying, burning embers.
Wonderful.
Here just on the north side, the west side, if you will, of Topanga Canyon, Pacific Coast Highway here, 18,000 block, 1, 2, 3, 6, 7 of these beach cottages, garages burning up in flames the last hour. Fire captain from one of the engines, Engine 45, telling me from LA County, the firefighters have moved in here because we're across the line in Malibu. Saying about an hour and a half ago, they had a fire on the other side of Topanga, sending up, as we've been seeing, certainly last night, a sea of those burning embers, and it lit this section on fire, and they've been dealing with it. And you can see some of those embers burning up, flying off the top of that roof there. They still have some active flames inside. The embers picking up, but fortunately they're flying in.
They're doing a great job.
Your screen, which means they're flying to the
I know there's so many
ocean,
fires to deal with, and under the circumstances that they're having to deal with, they are doing an amazing job.
That two-story structure.
That's all I can
we did
say.
not see all of yesterday in all of my travels through the Palisades. A charged line, firefighters with water hitting the hot spots, attacking the fire, and that was a big contention in that disaster in the Palisades, and all the devastation up there in the Palisades Village. Earlier, we've had the mayor making her first comments about this devastating fire, and even the top of LA DWP, and they had some explaining to do, as they say, about why the firefighters had no water in that massive firefight 24 hours ago. Listen.
We're still continuing working very closely with Metropolitan Water Department to try to make connections into their system and bring water pressure up so that we can fill the tanks. But in order for me to fill the tanks, I had to ask the fire department to stop fighting the fire. And that's a very tough operational decision to make.
This is a time for vigilance and action, not speculation. This is a time for Angelenos to come together, united, to protect themselves and their families, and also each other.
Angelenos, huh? Never thought that was a pizza
Coast
place.
Highway and the firefight here, they're getting an upper hand on all of these cottages burning, but they still have a lot of active flames. But
Am I
back to the
wrong?
point of
Am
what
I
you were
wrong?
just listening to, I saw that last night. It really was a battle, not in the air with that firefight, especially through, well, I would say all of the Palisades particularly, but I was thinking about when we were in the heart of the village itself. No airdrops because of the searing wind, so it really was a firefight with of the engines hooking up to the hydrants, no water, but a difference here 24 hours later, wind conditions, also more utility crews moving in. They'll be coming in from the left of your screen from so here.
Looks like we're getting a bad stream there.
We're starting to lose Ed's signal there.
Yeah.
Some news just into us. Governor Newsom, speaking of water, is going to be sending up to 140 2,500-gallon water tenders to Southern California. So that will help in terms of getting more water in place for the firefight all throughout the region.
You know what we haven't seen, although Governor Newsom did deploy them today, is the National Guard.
Right.
We haven't seen that happen.
Okay,
Questions were
so
yesterday, where's the National Guard?
I was just
Especially
speaking
at the
about
height of the
this
fire
a little
last
while
night
ago.
when things are absolutely out of control.
I was
Not that
wondering
they're
if he was
completely
going
under
to
control tonight,
call
but
up the
it's a better
National Guard.
situation. Nonetheless, Newsom saying today that he has deployed the National Guard, yet we haven't seen it.
Haven't seen them yet. Sometimes it takes a little while for them to deploy, so we'll see.
Well,
what
that's
exactly
great.
they're
That's
gonna do.
that's
I
good to
tried
know
ask
that, you know,
question to the governor
in a
this
time of
morning when he was
crisis,
with
the
President
National
Biden,
Guard's
and,
going to, you know, be on its. It takes time to get moving. I thought the whole purpose of training was so that you'd be prepared, you'd be ready to go in a moment's notice. That's what being in the National Guard is about. That's what being in the military is about. Preparedness, being ready to act at a moment's notice. We shouldn't be waiting for them to be. If he enacted them yesterday, why are we still not seeing the National Guard in Los Angeles and in the surrounding areas? And why is he just now sending water? What did they say? 2,500 gallon tanks, water tanks full of water. He's sending out to them tomorrow. Well, that's a day too late. You should have been prepared. You should have been prepared, Newsom. You shouldn't be sending stuff tomorrow. You shouldn't have deployed the National Guard yesterday, and they still haven't shown up. So it sounds like a lot of lip service, Newsom. It's embarrassing to your state that your National Guard's not there, that they're lollygagging to get there. Or have you also set them up for failure because they don't have the resources necessary to be able to help either? That's the only answer I can come up with. What are your thoughts? Leave your thoughts in the comments or in the chat. Love to hear. Do you think Newsom is responsible for the lack of resources that are available? Do you think the mayor of Los Angeles, she's on vacation right now, should be leaving her vacation and coming back and trying to help and trying to lead this effort to contain these fires and save her city? Or is she just going to let the workers do it like all the other sleazeballs who run Los Angeles? It's sad. I know I'm going off on a rant, everybody, but it's just really sad to see this happening.
Who are familiar with this, it's actually at the corner of Lake and Calaveras. We were here earlier today watching the Aldi, which is directly across the street, burning. The exterior of the building is still standing, but we were here and we heard the loud booms as the roof was collapsing and the windows were as well. So very sad situation that we're witnessing here tonight. Let's send it back to you.
It's absolutely sad.
Christy Fajardo reporting live from the Eaton fire, where
Look at her
that
eyes.
fire has been blamed for 5 deaths, over 10,000 acres.
They're
burned.
huge.
Our coverage continues in a moment.
All right. Let's check in on the other coverage we got going on out here. So we'll get rid of that one. Let's see what we got here. Let's see what these guys are all about right now. If we come back and see.
Been burned, but we saw the fire starting to pick up again as winds picked up in this area, and so the fire is still going
1,000
here tonight.
businesses
Again,
have been plus businesses
what
have
we're
been
seeing
destroyed
is
in
definitely
Pacific
several
Palisades,
different fires throughout
which
that
isn't
neighborhood,
surprising.
Colleen and Michael.
All right, Valina Jones from our Bay Area sister station. Thanks so much for giving us an idea of what is still going on. A lot of cell towers were lost out there in these fires, and we're doing our best to bring you the coverage out there. But again, 16,000 acres burned so far, and they still don't have a count on the number of homes lost.
All right, let's bring in meteorologist David Bigger. Obviously, we've continued to talk about how dry it is out there.
Okay, so we're bringing in the meteorologists again. We've already heard from these guys. So let's go to the this feed here, see what we got. Remember, we left him, and he was a really happy guy last time. Let's see.
High pressure will continue to build over the area. So
he still can't be
still in effect. Winds have died down,
we
so
got
actually in
we got
that
another
regard,
new
winds
weather
dying down
guy.
doesn't get disperse that smoke, so it kind of settles into the
So it
areas
looks
where
like
these
we're
fires
part
are.
of the weather
Hence, we're seeing
hour
these
right
dangerous
now.
conditions still in play. Now, the winds are still there, as Dallas will show you here in a second, and has been showing you all night. So they're still in play, not quite as intense.
That's a
but those
colorful
park
map he's got
particulates
there.
The smoke, the ash are still in those spots, especially. So in
Kinda
those
digging
areas
it.
where you see the red, you see the orange, those are your unhelpful for sensitive groups. Unhelpful for everybody is the red. So just stay indoors as
There's your
best
answer,
you can.
JD.
Away from all that particulate matter, have masks
About
handy
air
just
quality.
the same. And the areas, that purple there, that's very unhelpful air. That's just dangerous all around. So
Air
certainly
quality
in
is
those
at
spots,
purple.
if you're still
Very
in those
dangerous.
areas,
There
stay
you go.
indoors if you can. If you've not been evacuated, stay indoors there. And if
I
you're
love
in
when
that
people
area,
ask questions
some
in the
evacuation
chat.
center, indoors, masks possible. It is just dangerous air quality as well. And we're watching again areas here showing up in the red. That too indicates the unhelpful air for everybody in that area. So the areas in the green and the yellow, not so much, but those areas in that red, the orange, and we just showed you the very intense purple area, that's unhelpful air, very unhelpful air. So just please be careful there. And this is still in effect now, probably through the nighttime hours as well. Of course, we'll track it for you through overnight and into tomorrow morning as well. All right, Colleen, Mark, yours.
Okay. Danny Romero,
Colleen,
thank you. And as
Mark.
we look at that big red blotch with the purple dot in there behind you, that is basically where the Eaton fire is and where a lot of that pollution is being generated. Brianna Willis is from our sister station. She's joining us now from
We got
there.
Brianna
where
out
this is
there with
still
her
a
guy-
very
with her
active
mask
effort
on.
to
Eaton
deal with
fire,
fires that are still
10,600 plus
ongoing.
acres,
and of
5
course, in the wake of
fatalities.
the deaths of 5 people and the loss of perhaps 1,000 structures. Brianna.
Talk to us, Brianna.
Yeah, Mark, obviously we've seen so much devastation across the area, but as you mentioned, this Eaton fire has also claimed lives. Now, we're still on Molina Avenue. We moved up the road now to Mariposa Street. We were working to find some firefighters to see. We know they're fighting this fire, but we haven't been able to find them yet. When we see them, they're just kind of driving down the street. We're not sure, where they're going, probably looking for more hot spots. But what we did find when we came up this road right now, a very scary, scary scene. Our photographer are going to zoom in right now. We actually see this power line that's leaning. We've been observing it for some time, making sure we're on this side of the road, staying
that's
safe.
not good.
We're obviously expecting
Looks
it to
like
go
more
down at any time.
potential
Of course, the power
blackouts
is
coming
not
in
on
that
this
area.
right now, but this is a very scary sight
Last
to see.
time we
Right
saw a
now,
power
in this
line, it
area
looked like a
of
little
Molina
fireworks
Ave right
show.
Now, we don't see a standing
And then
structure.
the result
we just see
was
devastation
a lot
all across
of
right now. We
power
also saw
outages in
some
the area.
SoCal gas vehicles on our way up here. Of course, we talked to someone, as I mentioned earlier, who still had his gas lines on, so they're trying to make sure that those are off right now. So really, residents in this area unclear of what they'll really come back to. Like I said, not a lot of standing structures in this area. Again, this power pole, a very scary, scary scene right now. We're keeping an eye on it, but obviously still so many flames. And again, firefighters stretched thin. We've just seen them kind of going through this area, but we haven't seen them stop to put out any hot spots right now. Obviously, so many fires burning across Southern California. Mark, Colleen.
How's the wind right now where you are, Brianna?
Yeah, the wind is still pretty calm. It picked up just a little bit from the last time we talked to you guys, but right now it's still pretty calm. And you know, maybe that's why firefighters have been kind of just going through this area. Like I said, still so many hot spots, but it is calm right now from what we can feel out here right now.
You can see, well, obviously we've been covering this fire, you know, for over 24 hours now, and what a difference an evening makes. Brianna Willis, thank you so much for joining us for that live report. We're going to stay covering the Eaton fire. We're going to have Leanne Suter. She filed a report earlier today about the destruction there.
All right, we've moved places now. We are up on Terrace Street, and joining me now is Kim Castillo. Kim, you came up to see what happened to your house. What did you find?
Total disaster. We did not think we were going to see this. We thought it was going to be here when we came back. Only left with a few items.
The calmness in her voice is.
We have this, so.
I know. I'm gonna have Brian.
God's with her.
Up here. When you guys left, about 4:30 in the morning.
4:30 in the morning.
You can tell she's
my
turned this
sister
over
left
to God.
a little bit after that. But then coming back, this is what we came back to.
And it's not only your home. Talk to me about what you realized had happened.
Doesn't matter what faith you are,
and realized how bad this
what
was.
religion you are.
It made me think that
right now,
this community,
all of California,
this street, it is a historical.
All the people in Los Angeles area, they need our prayers. They need our
if you look at it,
thoughts.
You wouldn't be able to tell that.
Right now, there's so many people
they were
who
actually
are
planning a
going to
big
be
historical,
without homes. So many families without homes.
Later this year, but now what can we do?
And when you saw your house, but talk to me about. I don't think people. Can
so many families devastated and in need.
Talk to me about how many.
Los Angeles has already got a homeless problem,
just went up this street
and
now,
this is just going to exacerbate it even further.
Like 5 houses in a row.
It's just really sad to see. She looks like a really kind woman, and it's just horrible to see good people having to go through
nothing happened. It just stopped. So
through things like this.
The west part of the street,
thankful for their lives, and that they're not one of the 5 fatalities in the area. So you know that's a blessing.
And it's gone. I had a cousin that lived on Devarian. House is gone. The whole Devarian Street is gone.
So you're talking about
driving
a whole
up
family.
Here, I was like
her
oh
cousin's
my
house is
goodness,
gone.
What has gone on here?
Her house is
And it
gone.
was
We're
just
talking about houses in
I
one
can't believe
family.
it's so surreal.
And did you guys ever expect the fire
You
to
could
come
see
this low and this far?
a number
No,
of family
it's never
members
come
lose
this low.
a number
They've
of
always
houses.
said, oh, you know, get your stuff, evacuate, but nothing like this. Never.
I was going to talk to you. Robert's over here. I see if we can get him over here. Robert has a story.
Oh man. I hope this isn't the
Yusuf,
one
I
who
missed
was
it. I got the
trying
wrong
to save
name.
his
That's
house
what we
earlier.
Get for kind of doing this on the fly. Yusuf, come here.
No,
you were
it's
here.
not
You
him.
helped evacuate. Talk to me about what you did and talk to me about how hard it was at the time. Kind of what was going on.
It was not hard at all. I mean, it was a fire going on. The lady across the street was an elderly lady. So it made
Got a little blang blang there, huh?
But if you didn't help do that, I mean, we've now heard that at least 5 people have died in this fire, thanks to folks like you making sure the elderly got out. Was there kind of, not panic from your sense, but panic in the neighborhood? Were people really getting concerned once they realized they had to go?
Yes, there was panic in the neighborhood. Her daughter was actually running out over to the car to grab the car to get her. So, you know, when I seen that, I asked her, where's your mom? She said, still inside. Oh, okay, let me grab her real quick.
When you came back today and you saw all of this, what goes through your mind?
It's
Man.
hard to put in words.
Yeah.
Really hard to put in words.
I don't know how you can expect people to be able to answer some of these questions. It's
Not just yours, right?
kind of ridiculous.
There's so many.
Everybody, you know, these people right here, these people over here, the people down the block, family around the corner.
You've heard of fires. We've heard how damage it can be in neighborhoods like that. Just never thought it would come to this neighborhood? Just not an area you thought the fire would spread that far? Were the winds howling when you guys left?
Yeah, they were, but not my first fire in life. Actually, I was in fire camp a long time ago, so not my first fire.
A little
But
fire
you guys are
camper,
good,
huh?
Thank goodness. And those are the blessings you can count, right?
There you go. There you go. You count those blessings.
For sure. Thank you so much, you guys. I really appreciate your time. Do you guys think you'll rebuild in all tune to even think about that?
I think it's too soon to think about it.
Yeah.
A lot
You just
to
gotta
consider,
find your blessings
whether
right
we will
now.
rebuild or not. But yeah, we'll come together as a family. And the best thing about it is we're all here. We are alive and well. And that's what matters the most.
That's what matters the most.
True. I
Absolutely.
appreciate your time
Amen.
very much and sharing your story with
Yeah,
us.
praise
Again,
the Lord.
one, unfortunately, of so many up here in this Altadena neighborhood that have literally lost everything they own. In Altadena, Leanne Suter, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Well, they are counting their blessings where they can find them, and
Absolutely,
they
that's what
find
I
a
was
blessing
saying.
in the fact that these families are together. These families are together.
That's
of
what
course,
they're
there
doing
are
right now.
5 victims, 5 people who have died,
So
where the
sad.
families have been ruptured and irreparably torn by what has happened here over the last 24 hours in the Eaton fire. Dallas Raines joining us now as we continue to look at the weather conditions that, of course, are all important.
Dallas Raines
as
is
we
back,
look at
so we're going to
the
go
way
ahead and
this
take a
fire
break from Dallas because he gets pretty darn animated there, old Dallas. Nothing wrong with that, Dallas. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not knocking you. We're about back. Should be back here in a second, right? Come on now. Get in there.
On.
Get in there. There we go. Looks like we got the countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. All right, we're back. Live with Fox News to see
Welcome
where we're
back. A conversation earlier today with the district attorney in LA.
To cheat others, to steal from others, to scam others. And I want them to understand that we will not be taking this lightly. We will go after you. We will make sure that you understand that this will not be tolerated.
Nathan Hochman, the district
at.
attorney.
I hadn't even
for
thought
Los
about
Angeles
the
County. Let's talk
any
about our
looting.
weather now. Adam Kruger, we saw a big change today. What do we expect for tomorrow?
Yeah, we're going to see a little.
Yeah, I haven't even thought that there of any looting or anything like that. I would just think that there's so many people that are being affected by this that it would be even hard to comprehend something like that going on. But you know, evil finds opportunity when in times like this. So it's not surprising that there are people out there looting, and hopefully they get what they got coming to them.
We see some gusty winds in the higher elevations as well. But overall, I mean, a lot of these numbers are less than half of what we
Yeah, I can only imagine what the home insurance is going to be like for people outside of Los Angeles. And we've heard that a lot of the insurance companies have already, not covered these fires. They've already said that they weren't going to be covering fires because of the areas that they live in, or if they do, they're paying exorbitant amounts of premiums every month for coverage. So and I can only imagine that the costs that the insurances that are paying out over all of this is going to be spread out to the rest of the consumers of those insurance companies. So yeah, you can expect your rates to rise. That's a good point, Jimmy boy. No, that's a good point. Definitely. There's a lot of things that people just don't think about. We get caught up with the actual travesty as it's happening, and we don't think about all the other tangibles that are a part of it. The insurance payments, the drop of insurance, the fight to be able to try to rebuild, to get those funds to be able to rebuild, possibility of having to relocate and start all over again. You know, there's so many things that we just don't think about in a time like this. We just look at the immediate damage that we see, and we get taken back by that. It's it can be hard to escape sometimes. Let's see what's going on in the other feed. Seems to be we're in the weather hour portion of the hour. So let's see what's going on over here.
Dangerous. This was obviously a very destructive fire, and that's evident here. Obviously, in Altadena, there are several hundred homes destroyed, several cars. You just have to drive down this road on Harriet Street, and you'll see all the abandoned cars that were burned up, and obviously all the homes that have been leveled as well. So tonight, the job really, because we don't have high winds, it's more like a breeze, if that, which is certainly stops the rapid rate of spread. And firefighters are certainly happy with that, but still there is the concern of the dangers that and the destruction that the fire caused, the concern for firefighters, and concern for anyone who might come up here as well. Reporting live, I'm Dave Summers, NBC4.
Dave, I assume with all the dangers that you just described there with power lines and things like that, residents are not being allowed back in to check to see if their homes made it through this fire?
It's too early yet, I would imagine.
We're seeing a lot of people coming by homes and taking photographs, individual photographs, and some of them are people who are friends of people who live there. Some of them are the residents that live there. Everybody we
So a lot of
talk to,
unnecessary traffic is what it sounds like.
Be, telling us that they're either lost a home or they know someone who lost a home, and they're just either getting photographs or just trying to help. There's a lot of civilian traffic up here, which really kind of surprises me, because I can tell you, working this neighborhood and other neighborhoods in Altadena today, we have run into so many power poles that are almost to the ground and wires onto the ground. Of course, they're not energized.
Right.
They shut all of that off, but it's still...
They're just putting themselves at risk.
We've been talking about it poses a danger.
Yeah, you're out there too,
Risk
buddy.
at the very least.
Trying to
All
bring
right, so
out the
Dave Summers there,
content,
live
bring the
for us
news
in
to us.
Altadena.
We appreciate
NBC4's
it.
Darcia Phillips has
Stay
been in
safe
Pacific
out there,
Palisades
everybody.
covering the fires there. She's live now along Antioch and Swarthmore Avenue. Darcia.
Yeah, Michael, we're in the heart of Palisades Village, where a lot of businesses have burned. You're looking at one just behind me. This was the Starbucks, also an Italian restaurant just behind it. And you can see, look how fast and how hot this fire burned.
There's gonna be a lot of upset people that there's no Starbucks.
Eradicating this building. It's a stone building, but everything inside is charred. And this is what we are seeing all across the area here in the Palisades. You know, the evacuation orders, of course, are still in effect when people
I know
come
Jimmy
back,
likes his coffee,
they are
but
not
I don't
going
think
to
he goes to
recognize
Starbucks. I
this
think he's
area.
a...
Now we're going to pan over. I'm going to move the light.
He likes those
you can see
local
another
coffee
corner there. That
breweries.
used to be a building
He
as
might
well,
be a Seven Brew
with
guy,
a
though.
yogurt shop and other businesses.
I
That
know his
is
wife is.
also gone. This is the heart of Palisades,
Is that
and
a
it
little
is
fire
really
right at the
destroyed
base
by
of a
this
tree?
fire. Now, I do want to show you, if you can come back this way, Jeremy, my photographer, you can see the ash that's kind of blowing in the light here. We are still feeling winds here in the Palisades, and right now we are stuck in this area because of signal. There's not a lot of cell phone signal here. But we were driving all around this area earlier today, and there are still homes that are on fire, and there are still active fire in the hillsides. We actually met up with some residents. Take a look at this video. They were up in their home closer to the Highlands, and they were putting out a spot fire on their deck. They were able to hike up to their home and put out this fire. And this young man that I spoke to, he actually brought his friends to try and
Look at
help him
that.
save his house
Canisters
and
of
his
water
neighbor's
just
house.
to
And they actually did a
do it.
pretty good job. Take a
Good
listen.
job, bro.
You guys pretty much probably saved at least your deck.
At least. Well, you never know with the winds. You know, it could come up to the deck and then get the house next. I mean, look at that one right there. It's
Man, they're out there with buckets and canisters of water.
Exactly.
Hey, man,
I understand
I'd do
emotions.
whatever I'd have to do as well.
my best friends
I mean,
came
I'm
to
not
me,
gonna lie.
heroes
I'd
in
be
my
out there
opinion.
so I couldn't be out there anymore,
saw
trying
this
to
fire start right
save
there
my home and
yesterday.
my neighbor's home.
We got out of here. And
Yeah, I know
this is
Jimmy wasn't no
unbelievable. This is
Dunkin'
the worst
guy.
thing I've ever seen in my life.
7 Brew all day, baby.
And again, you heard that
I
young
do
man
admit
say
Seven
we
Brew's
saw
got
the
some
fire
good
start
drink.
over there yesterday, and what he is saying
And that
is
grande
that what he
is
told us is that he
big.
actually saw that first plume of smoke happen in the hillsides behind his home. He called 911, and then Michael and Colleen, what he told me is that he just saw it explode. He saw the winds pick up, and that fire just spot, and all those embers continue to just move through the Palisades. So what he is saying is that he really saw the beginning of that fire. So really, really tragic. And again, what I do want to mention, what we showed in some of our past videos, is that there are entire neighborhoods. You can't see it here. It is too dark. All the power is out. But when you walk down these streets or drive down these streets, there is nothing left. We are talking about entire neighborhoods that have been flattened, that is unrecognizable because of this fire. And I can only think about these families who are coming back to these neighborhoods and to these streets that they will no longer recognize. They're coming back to a home that is no longer there. And another thing is I know that there's a lot of people who are watching our videos and looking online and hoping to see
Definitely
their
no
homes standing.
Starbucks.
And
I
we
don't
have seen several
see you as
homes
a Dunkin'
standing,
guy, but they do got
this isn't
donuts.
over. I
I
can't
do
stress
like a
that
good
enough. We are still
Dunkin'
feeling
donut.
winds, and when we
I hear
drive
they got good
around
coffee.
here, there is still active fire. And firefighters do not have any containment on this fire right now. They are doing the best that they can with what they have, but this is still
Another
a very
fire
tricky
that
situation here
is
in the
not
Palisades.
able to be
We'll
contained.
send it back to you guys.
Darcia, you mentioned active fire. That is exactly what we're looking at on the right side of the screen here. This is what we think might be the leading edge of this fire. It's burning east towards not necessarily Brentwood, but in through Topanga Canyon and that area. Darcia, as you're driving through, we're looking at a big area of fire right now. There are hot spots through the neighborhoods as well. That has
Starting
to be
to hit
eerie when you
my
drive through,
peak here,
and you see that sort of thing.
everybody. So I'll probably be ending
You
the
know, Colleen,
stream
it is
here in the
really
next few
hard
minutes.
to put into words what
I'll
we
be
are
back
seeing.
online
when we
in the
see
next
these hot spots, when we see
few hours,
homes
and you
that
get
are
a
standing, and then we
little
see
shut-eye.
fire and
I'll be up
winds,
early.
and we feel the winds, and we know that in just a matter of
Checking
moments
up
this could go as
on
well.
any updates, getting
the
any
word that you
updated news
used
that
is
needs to
eerie.
go out.
This entire area, I've spent
In
time in the
addition to
Palisades.
these fires.
I've ordered drinks from this
that's
Starbucks
what this
behind
channel
me,
is gonna be
and
all
I
about.
do not recognize where I
We're
am
bringing
because
you
it
live
just looks
news updates, breaking news updates live. We'll be bringing you long form content of topics that we are passionate about. We'll also be doing funny little shorts and stuff like that. So if you haven't already done so, we'd really appreciate you to subscribe and like our channel. Hit that notification bell so that you can be notified whenever we got any new content coming out. Obviously, that's pretty loud too, huh? That'll wake you up at 3 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock in the morning. But our goal is to put out content on a regular basis, if not daily, every other day, and whenever there's breaking news. And now that we've got our streaming set up, yeah, see, we're gonna cancel out with Purple Rain. Yeah, we're gonna cancel out with her. So yeah, that's the goal, is to bring you content on a regular basis and hopefully grow our channel and grow our community of like-minded individuals who are sick of the legacy media like CNN and MSNBC and Fox to an extent. They're all kind of dying, and there's so many different news outlets out there, people bringing you news, reporting it live on the ground, and streaming it from live news networks as well. So that's what our goal is. So with that all being said, we appreciate you tuning in. I thank you very much. Everybody have a good night, and I will see you sometime in the morning. Until tomorrow, have a good night. Peace.